What you don't believe can kill you. On this episode of The Devil's Workshop, it's Jamie Blanks' Urban Legend. Hello, and welcome to the Devil's Workshop podcast. I am your host, Nick Oliver.
And I'm your host, Katie Oliver.
And we're back in the post-Scream world.
It's true.
Yeah.
Baby, we're back.
Yeah. So hopefully we'll be wrapping up with that for a while, because I can only think of a couple movies that really stick out to me in the post-Scream.
Yeah, what would those be? I mean,
Cherry Falls.
This.
I
Know What You Did Last Summer?
Yeah.
Is that post?
Yeah. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, that.
Scream 2.
Sure. Valentine. Same director as this.
We should cover Valentine.
Should we?
Yes.
Okay.
Have you seen it?
No.
We should.
Okay.
It's Stoopy.
Yeah. Others? I don't know.
and
I remember
others.
Yeah. I remember there being a lot of those at the time, but
they've fallen away, Yeah. Like, history has forgotten them.
I don't think most of them are especially notable, frankly.
Though I do think, like, the ones that we have covered / are covering are interesting.
Sure.
There are things about
so.
them that are interesting to me.
Otherwise, our poor listener, your mother, is going to be in for a real dud here.
Sorry, Mom.
You want to talk about our history with this movie?
Yeah.
To the extent that we have it?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so for me, I have no history with this movie. Well, mostly, like, I had never seen it before.
Mm-hmm.
I knew about it just because it's one of those Scream likes that infiltrates your consciousness, I guess. My actual experience with it was just a number of podcasts that I like have reviewed Urban Legend. So I went into it having knowing basically beat for beat what took place in the movie and having, knowing who the killer was and all that stuff. So it was totally spoiled for me, but that didn't really hinder my enjoyment or like my ability to, watch the movie. Because I really just sometimes, like, I will listen to a review for a movie I haven't seen and just sometimes I think it helps me, like, appreciate the movie from more of a distance. Like, oh, like, how is this working? How do they enact all the things that I know are about to happen?
Sure.
So that, that, like, is something that I'm occasionally willing to do. What about you? What's your history?
Well, I thought I did have some history, and I don't. I think before we watched it, before we sat down, I said that I'd seen a part of it. Because when I was a kid, when you're a kid, your dad will flip through cable or whatever. Like, so we had a satellite dish in my case, but I can remember watching part of this movie with my father, just flipping through channels. Mm-hmm. So I'd seen part of it, or rather, I thought I had seen part of it. After watching this movie, I realized I'd seen part of Urban Legend too.
That's really funny.
So I was wrong about that. So I have no history with this movie. I was always aware of it. I was kind of interested in it because Robert Englund is in it. Freddy Krueger himself.
Brad Dourif too.
Yeah, which I didn't know at that time. I hadn't seen the Child's Play movies at that time, so I didn't really know who Brad Dourif was. But yeah, obviously now I do and love him. But so I was always kind of curious about that because I just like all these. I liked 80s slashers at that point in my life a lot. So I liked all the big names from that, and Robert Englund especially, I think is probably he's kind of the standout. Like, he's an actual actor compared to a lot of those guys.
Yeah. I mean, also...
he got stuck in horror world, but he's a talented guy.
Yeah.
So I was interested for that reason. But yeah, just never had the chance, I guess. Just never sought it out.
Some
So
stuff just slips through the cracks.
yeah. There's a lot of movies in the world. And only so much life in which to watch them.
It's true. Ugh, I lament that it's true.
Yeah.
I know so much trivia about this movie just because of having absorbed so much content about it. You want to know something wackadoo?
Sure.
I find this totally crazy. So there is also in Urban Legends 3, Bloody Mary, direct to video.
Right.
Do you know who directed it?
No.
Mary Lambert.
Who did Pet Sematary?
Yeah. Isn't that wild?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Kate Mara is in it. Mara?
Yeah, I'm not sure.
Of the Mara sisters.
Right.
The Mara dynasty.
Yeah. All of these movies have real casts.
Yeah. Even though this one was the direct to video entry.
Right.
I just think that's wild.
Yeah.
I have no idea who directed the second one, but that's fine.
I don't remember, but I know that the second one was written in part by Scott Derrickson, who Scott Derrickson did I think he wrote Exorcism of Emily Rose.
Oh.
He directed Sinister, maybe.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and
sure.
the first Doctor Strange movie.
Right.
Yeah, Hellraiser 5, I think.
Oh, ooh.
Yeah, well, he started doing sequel trash, basically, but he, I think, was known to be a talented guy, and so his opportunities went up. But yeah, he's a real guy.
Yeah.
I don't think he's like a particularly lauded horror director, but he's a name.
Yeah.
He's got a good B-level reputation.
Sure. It's so interesting to me, like that this franchise had, if not has, the ability to attract, people of like actual horror caliber,
Yeah, well, I think that's one of the things you can see about, I can't speak to the others really, but in this movie, I think that Scream, it's impossible to talk about this movie without talking about Scream a lot. So we probably will do a lot of that. So go see Scream. It's a better movie than this by a lot. But the thing about Scream is that they had a pretty strong cast. And some of those people were on the rise.
It was a real who's who of that late 90s moment.
But like some of those people I think probably like it was early, we know them to be famous, but some of them are probably famous for Scream, like they that was a start for their careers. But I mean, Drew Barrymore was had a big role in that. I think she had, I don't know if it was top billing, but she was on the poster, I think. Which Scream, of course, I mean, she's the first person to die in the movie. But if you're buying tickets on premiere night, you don't know that.
It was kind of a big coup. That they did that.
Like they killed the most famous actor. But a lot of those people, they would have. Courtney Cox is in it. I mean, this is still in the Friends is on TV. It's huge, So there are big names in that movie. And I think that's true for this too. I think that was part of the like all the studio executives said, okay, where do we need to spend our money? I mean, horror has always been a safe bet, and they make a lot of. So you can spend $1 million and make $50 million off of it. So, what I think they did learn, the takeaway for them, I think, was okay. We don't need to spend money on effects. What we need to spend money on is cast. So we need some attractive young actors, and then that'll bring the crowd in. That was the thinking. That's what their takeaway from Scream. I think that's the wrong takeaway.
I think that's misguided.
Yeah,
I think it's deeply misguided.
Yeah.
But there are 101 ways to make a horror movie. I guess. I feel like we ought to get into it.
Yeah.
Though another side note before we begin, our curse persists. Director Jamie Blanks died
sort of
like a month ago.
Persists. Yeah, no, I mean, I think, I mean, we didn't obviously record this episode, and then he heard about it, and then
died.
Right.
I think he just knew that it was coming.
Yeah, he heard. Our agent actually.
Our people talked to his people.
They leaked it to the press.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
And he just, he was like, I don't want to be around for this.
Yeah.
Allegedly.
It's better. That's what they they say.
Yeah.
You know, we're obviously being fairly flippant about the fact that somebody died.
I feel bad about that.
Well, you know, it's a horror podcast, and the whole
there's a certain gallows
we deal
humor.
with death quite a lot.
It's
so.
true. It's true.
You know, I heard Jamie. I bet he would appreciate that. I feel like I know the guy through his work,
through his people.
Yeah.
No, R.I.P. to Jamie Blanks. I was genuinely saddened to learn this because I
that
think
he
this
died.
I think this is a fun movie, even if it's dumb.
Yeah.
And I genuinely rather like Valentine.
Okay.
So yeah, rest in peace.
All
my
right,
dude.
great. Well, you want to get into it?
Let's get into it.
All right. All right, you want to talk about what's working?
Yeah, let's. I'm looking at your list from across the table, and I see that
you can't read it because it's upside down.
It's upside down, and
you.
my brain doesn't have that power. But I can see that it's more white on the page than black.
Yeah. I have not much to contribute in this
I can't
section
possibly
here.
understand.
You're gonna
how
have to carry that weight this go round.
I mean, you know. Look at my sheet.
I see. Also pretty short there.
Yeah. Though, okay, this is another situation where the things I enjoy about this movie, I rather enjoy. You know, it's not like I was scraping together like anything positive I could think to say. I think this movie is fun. It's
Actually, I've just forgotten to mention this. We always try.
My gosh, what?
It's on Tubi.
Oh.
Yeah, along with the rest of the trash. So
Tubi's gonna sue us for defamation.
Tubi knows about Tubi trash. Shit, they're gonna throw that in an ad. They want to see some trash?
Yeah.
Try Tubi.
Hey, you want to see something worthless? It's on Tubi.
That's right.
Though, okay,
for free. You don't even need an account to watch things on Tubi. That's what makes it the funniest to me, is that you don't even need an account. You can just search this movie, and there it is. It pops up in your browser. You click on it, it just starts playing. They don't even give a shit about it. You make a Tubi account. Yeah. They're like, you'll forget to log in, and you're just gonna have no, don't worry about it. Just fucking watch it.
As your blank dead doll's eyes glaze and roll across the screen. I will say though, I've seen some bangers on Tubi. Okay, like it's not all.
Body Snatchers, I think, was on Tubi.
Yeah, and Whatever Happened to Baby Jane, I watched on Tubi.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, granted, the experience, you know, if the movie's an hour 36 minutes or whatever the hell,
right.
It took me 5 hours to watch
on Tubi, yeah,
because I was watching Crest commercials every other minute. But
Liberty, 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 liberty.
Yep. But Tubi, I'm sorry, you deserve your flowers.
No, you deserve everything you get, Tubi. But
well,
this is not a podcast about Tubi.
I guess we can toss that sponsorship out the door.
This kind of is a podcast about Tubi when you think about it.
Really? It's a little bit.
Like, in general, this is a podcast about Tubi.
Essence of Tubi has been sprayed over this podcast.
But specifically, this is a podcast about Urban Legend. So
for now.
Let's
okay, yes. Can I get back to what I was saying?
I'm sorry.
God. No, but I think this movie's fun. I really do. You're not making eye contact with me, but I think it's fun.
Yeah.
This has this is a very slumber party movie to me. It's not super scary.
Certainly it's a slumber party movie in the sense that it's for like preteens.
Babies?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't know, it's kind of like maybe this is just my nostalgia for a certain era of movie making that like also gets on my nerves sometimes, but like it's kind of cute, you know? It's like, oh, just some teens running around being like, oh my God, what happened? It's just cute. I don't know. It's like not that offensive to me.
Okay. All right. Well, I don't think it's inoffensive. I could agree with that. I think mostly to me because it's bland.
It is.
It's bland.
It is. But, you know, I could see this being the movie that makes a nascent horror fan. You know what I mean? Like, I could see this being kind of an entry point. because it's not super challenging. It's got a genuinely fun premise, you know, stringing together these urban legends. You know, there's some fun performances. There's some fun cameos. In addition to, you know, Robert Englund and Brad Dourif, there's also Danielle Harris from a Scream Queen in her own right, who
Halloween
I
4 and
first...
5, right?
Yes, that's where I first encountered her, and I like her a lot. And then there's a general sort of campiness that descends over, like, particularly, like, it bookends the movie, I think, that I think is cute and fun.
Sure.
And I have a lot to critique about this movie, don't get me wrong, but I don't know. I'm just like, oh, you're having a pizza party with your friends? Just throw it on. You know, you might find like it makes you kind of want to get into the harder stuff. I don't know.
Sure. I can't go there with you. I mean, there are elements of what you said that I'll agree with. So I do think it's a decent premise. It's okay. Okay, the idea that we're gonna have a killer who's recreating famous urban legend deaths. That's for the people who don't know. That's the premise of the movie. So the killer's going around enacting urban legends with a twist, because the urban legends in many cases are not actually lethal. So an urban legend that they refer to as pop rocks and soda will make your stomach explode. Well, that's just not a real thing. That's not true. Though in the movie they do enact a version of that is lethal. Yeah. So things like that. Killer in the back, obviously a much more obviously lethal one. Killer in the back seat, hiding out. So like check the back seat of your car because someone's hiding out back there to kill you. Like the calls come from inside the house, which is itself that's very obviously that Scream didn't invent that. But that's obviously very strongly associated with Scream. So, but that's a thing. Like, oh yeah, I heard so and that happened. I knew somebody that happened back in my hometown.
What is that? Does that come from like When a Stranger Calls?
That was the
also Black Christmas.
Yeah. So those are early movie examples of that. I mean, I think
sure
the notion, was not invented by the movies, but those movies captured it. But I think it hadn't been done really in a while until Scream. Though in Scream, I don't know if the characters are actually calling via cell phone and they're just inside the house. I don't know how that works. I don't remember anymore. It's been a little while.
Yeah, I'd have to watch it
because you can change it. Because there's not really unless 70s phones work in a way I don't understand. I don't think you can call your own house because you get a busy signal if you call your own house on a landline phone.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
unless you have two lines in your house, which if you have
I think that's how it works in Black Christmas.
Yeah, that's a dorm phone. So
right.
Yeah,
so
there's lots of phones in the house. In that case, anyway, we don't need to get caught up in that.
This isn't a phones podcast,
right? But yeah, the premise is fine. Yeah, like okay.
I do think the premise, as fun as it can be, creates problems, and I'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's it's
sure.
It makes sense as something where people would be like, imagine like the movie executive like smoking a cigar, being like, yeah, I don't know, what are the kids like?
Yeah, when the creating problems thing with the calls coming from inside the house thing. Of course, this movie only exists because of Scream, and that's the big moment in the first Scream movie, of course. So it immediately draws. I mean, you're making comparisons anyway because it's so obviously kind of a Scream ripoff, but the fact that they're really alluding pretty directly to a better movie is a dangerous thing.
Alas.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
These ideas, these stories are also so like part of just sort of common cultural property. It's like they're kind of screwed in a way because horror movies traffic in urban legends without calling them that.
Right.
So, it's what are they going to do?
Yeah.
Anyway, sorry for interrupting you.
Oh no, you're good. Yeah, anyway, I just can't I mostly can't go there with you. Like because I mean, I agree it does have a blandness that can make it palatable to babies. So sure, that's far from a compliment as far as I'm concerned, but you're right. Yeah, I guess I could endorse that.
Well, I think the difference is that like I say that with like a gentle beatific smile on my face.
Sure.
And you say it with a sneer of cold contempt.
Indeed. I say most things with a sneer of cold contempt, though. So
you're very Ozymandian in that way.
Okay. All right. So in terms of things I liked, I will endorse. You mentioned Danielle Harris. I like her role in this a lot.
Yeah.
Like she is kind of the standout character to me, actually.
Yeah.
Tosh.
Because she's evil.
So she gives. I think this movie mostly doesn't have much personality, and so she is like one of the few things that's giving this movie personality because she's nuts.
Oh yeah.
I don't mean the character's mentally ill. I mean, though that's an element of this character,
that's
but
suggestive.
But
the character.
Yeah, but she seems to have bipolar disorder. Or in the movie they call her manic depressive. Yeah, it's the 90s, so the terminology changes some, but. I like, so I mean it nuts in the more just general, the way I describe, oh man, what happened in the movie is nuts. You know, I mean, in that sense. With a movie like this, so what happens is she's the lead character's roommate. And the lead character walks into the room and she's getting railed. While listening to Rob Zombie. She's like, turn the light off, bitch! And next time you see her, like every time you see her after that, she's smoking cigarettes in the room. And she's listening to like fairly bland alternative music, but she's all gothed out.
She's painted the half of the room black.
Yeah, and she's on a website called Goth for Goth.
Goth for Goth.
Yeah, she's trying to. So she's trying to have casual sex encounters
with any goth
on campus, every night while taking her lithium.
Yeah. Yeah. I
like just with stupid, weird stuff like that. Like
she's
that's
outrageous.
I like a good injection. And she's pissed all the time. So so our lead character's like, hey, I'm sorry about last night. She's like, yeah, don't do it again.
She's genuinely coming at Alicia Witt's character with the energy of like imagine walking into a room being like, oh hey, and the other person being like, fuck you! Yeah, she's at the top of their lungs. It's so funny.
I know. Yeah, that's the kind of personality this movie is generally lacking.
And screaming for.
But it's not justifiable. Like, there's no reason that this character is like this.
No.
But for this kind of movie, we have room for that. For stand-up personalities that just don't require explanation. They can just be kind of off-kilter and crazy. Like, that's the kind of stuff. That's the brown sugar in our bland oatmeal. You know what I mean? Like
yes.
The blandness that you're appreciating that I'm not. That's the thing. That's like, okay, we need more of that.
Yeah. This needs to be like a bizarro world.
Yeah, sure.
Or else it needs to feel much more real.
Yeah.
The movie kind of can't make up its mind.
Yeah, it needs to be me more heightened for sure.
I am sure that we will get more into that, but. I'm curious to know, like, what else do you like about it? What else is on your little list there?
Not much. So I really only have two things. I like Alicia Witt, our lead. She's good. This is not in the scope of our endeavor here, but like Alicia Witt is. I mean, she's an attractive woman, but she looks like a real person to me.
Yeah.
Which that was something that kind of randomly struck me because now everybody's a supermodel.
Yeah.
That was true then.
She looks like she could be a real college student.
Yeah. I mean, I forgot Rebecca Gayheart. Mm-hmm. I mean, she was a supermodel. So there's supermodels in this movie, but it more and more and more we get away from people looking like real people. In terms of movies now, like everybody's,
like they're all attractive, but they're quite fresh. They look young.
Everybody's now in movies are supermodels or like roided out athletes.
Yeah, it's true.
Which is so everybody's huge and muscular, and so I don't know. I appreciate that somebody was cast. Like your lead character is just a real looking person.
Yeah.
So I like that. I mean, she's good in the role. I'm not just talking about her appearance.
Yeah,
of course, but,
I think she has a sort of. she has like this really self-possessed quality.
Mm-hmm.
I think she's a compelling lead.
She has a dignity about her.
Yeah. Well, and I think something that I also really liked is that there's like it's very subtle, and maybe you'll be like, no, I don't see it, you're crazy. But I think she does a great job of baking in like a subtle selfishness into the role where like, because she knows, at least on some level, this is about what happened. You know, this is about her sort of crime with Michelle Mancini's Natasha Wagner's character.
Mm-hmm.
I think she senses it, but it makes her sort of a little bit self-absorbed. Like she has this one line where I was like, you know what you're doing, where she was like, why is this happening to me? Where like really it's happening to all of her friends, but it is about her. Like there were a couple of moments like this, or rather like that, where I was just like, oh, like, you know, there's a fundamental slight self-absorption to this character that would lead them to do something like play a horrible urban legend style prank that killed someone, you know, her original sort of crime. Anyway, I like her performance a lot.
Yeah, she's good.
I think she's good.
And if we're just ripping through the list, I mean, the only other thing I'll say that I think is a real positive for me, I do like the intro pretty well. I do make a change to it in the revision, but the intro, so the first victim, who is later in the movie revealed to be, this is Michelle Mancini, she's later revealed in the movie to have been best friends with our lead when they were in high school together. So she's killed, but she's driving, it's night, it's raining, she's running out of gas, she pulls over a gas station, this whole thing. So she thinks that the gas station attendant is some kind of a killer. And it's revealed actually that he's acting sketchy because he knows that the killer's in the back seat and he's trying to get her into safety. But he's a strange guy. He's Brad Dourif, so he looks a little weird. You know, he's got all that stuff.
He's got a stutter in the movie.
So she, this feels like a very 90s thing to me. But she discovers, like, she incorrectly thinks that he's the killer. She goes ballistic. She sprays him with mace and kicks the shit out of him. I think she
breaks his window.
Smashes his window because he locks her in the gas station trying to help her. Like he's locking. I mean, she thinks she's being locked in. What he's doing is locking the killer out. But she smashes, she smashes glass with something and escapes and freaks out. But there's like, it feels like she's a late 90s heroine. Of course, she's ultimately not the heroine. She does not survive that encounter. But so I like that moment. Like that's sort of centering us in the time, in the era. I like that. Otherwise, I'm pretty harsh on this movie, I gotta say.
Well, wait. Are you gonna sit here and look me in the eye and tell me that you can't appreciate Rebecca Gay Hart's turn at the end?
Yes, I could.
No,
I don't like her in this at all.
Oh no! Oh, I like her. I mean, okay, it's weird because I have again listened to a lot of reviews of this movie and stuff, and people often gush about Rebecca Gay Hart, and so like I went into the movie expecting to be just blown away by her performance. I really like her and but it didn't like knock my socks off. But I will say, like I thought she was a really fun presence on screen. And God, she's pretty. Sure. Oh my God. Like I was kind of dazzled by her because I don't think I'd ever seen a movie with her before.
I'm new. I'd seen her in something because I recognized her, but I couldn't say what. Yeah, I mean, I don't dislike her to the extent that I would put her in the what's not working section or anything. Like, I wouldn't really criticize her performance, but I don't think she stands out. I mean, she doesn't really strike me. If you want to play if you have your big mask off moment. And like, oh, it was me all along, the professor or whatever, like you have that moment. You need somebody to be sufficiently nuts that you believe that they are running around doing that shit, whereas she's kind of not that. She just doesn't really, like, the energy she's giving off isn't manic enough or cold and calculating or deranged enough. I mean, she goes that direction a little here and there, but it's just not, she just doesn't push it far enough to me.
Fair. Well, honestly, I kind of think that's like my presiding comment over this whole movie. It doesn't go far enough.
Okay. So we're obviously sort of tipping into that zone. So
yeah.
Do you want to go ahead and start talking about what's not working?
Why don't we? Why don't we?
All right.
I have a lot to say. I imagine that you do too. Oh my gosh, I can see that you do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this movie doesn't go hard enough.
Yeah.
Or else it isn't realistic enough. Like, it
Right.
needs to pick a lane, I think.
Sure. Yeah, again, I'm going to talk about Scream a lot in this movie, or a lot in this podcast. But yeah, there's no horror here. Like, so I have a lot of, yeah, okay. So the movie's tepid in its violence. Death in this movie is bland, and there's no pain, really. There's no suffering. I went back and I watched the opening sequence to Scream when I was writing my revision.
Yeah.
So that opening sequence in Scream lasts almost 13 minutes.
Good God.
So Drew Barrymore is in the act of being murdered for almost 13 minutes.
Oh my God.
Most of it is not her being stabbed or anything. So, but a lot of it is. I mean, she dies horribly in that.
Yeah, and she's menaced for a long time.
Yeah, so she's menaced for a long time. It's not ambiguous. Like, the audience figures it out that she's being menaced before the character does, because she thinks that, like, someone's being silly and like, oh, Steve, leave me alone. I don't remember exactly how it plays out, but
they're kind of flirting.
Yeah, there's a flirty quality to it. Yeah, and then her boyfriend dies. Because she's not the first death. So she looks out the window, like, because they have a windowed door onto, like, a porch or something. It's like, oh, you got the question wrong, so now your boyfriend's going to die. So he dies. Mm-hmm. So she has that horror of, like, okay, it's something, like, she realizes, like, okay, I'm in a dangerous situation. She sees her boyfriend die because she got the horror movie trivia question wrong, which in that case was... Who's the killer in Friday the 13th? She says Jason. No, it's not. It's Jason's mom in the first one. Sorry, pal.
Side note, what would they have done if she got all the questions right?
I guess they'd have to leave her alone.
Okay, sorry. Keep going.
So she flees. The killer in Scream is just a guy. So she fights back and loses her fight with him, but, like, struggles with him for a long time. Mm-hmm. Her parents get home. So her parents are, like, looking for her. I mean, there's an emotional impact to her death because she's dying and screaming for help, and she's going through all of this. She's on the phone line still, because they pick up the phone to call 911, which she's been on the phone with the killer this whole time. So her cordless phone is on still. So the parents can hear her suffering.
Yeah.
She's being dragged away. They can't call 911. They go, like, get in the car, let's go to the neighbor's house and call 911. They see her in the yard, finally, like, hung from a tree and disemboweled. But yeah, her death is horrible.
Yeah.
It lasts almost 13 minutes, right? The whole sequence. People in this movie are just dispatched in seconds a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, oh, who cares? There's no impact to any of it. There's no impact because we don't care about the characters. Like, they're not deep or rich enough that when they die, like, oh no, Steve, or no, come back, don't do it. Right. We don't care about them in that sense. We don't care because there's no suffering on display.
There's very little gore.
There's no little gore, yeah. So there's none of that. This is, if you're watching a horror movie, like, okay, what do you want out of it? So ideally you care about the characters, right? So when they die, that matters to you. Okay, if you can't muster that, then maybe you can put suffering on display. Oh, well, I don't necessarily care about this character, but I know what pain is, and that looks uncomfortable. I don't want to.
Don't want that to happen.
Right. So maybe you can muster that. Okay. Well, if you can't muster the care for the suffering that the characters are displaying, then kills, right? So if Friday the 13th movie, which that's not a series I like, but at least in general. But in those movies, that you start rooting for the characters to die.
Right.
So you want to see kills. That's what you're actually there for, is seeing Jason go around and kill people in spectacular ways.
Yeah.
So you want to see exciting sequences of people being ripped apart or macheted or whatever it's going to be, right? Well, we don't even have that either. We have no exciting death sequences, really.
Yeah.
So what do we have?
I do think a couple of the deaths stand out to me. Like, I think for me, the most effective one is Sasha's death, just because like she's being pursued around the the media building for a long time. And then I think the thing that especially like gets me about that one is that the killer just waves to Alicia Witt after it's done. Like, right. I thought that had some cheek to it.
I know, but the thing is, she dies off camera.
I know.
You don't even see it. So you see so we see it from Alicia Witt's perspective, which is below
the radio booth.
Right.
Yeah.
So you see the booth with the open windows. You can peer into the recording booth. So
they don't even. I mean,
They never show her corpse.
Am I correct in remembering they don't even have like a big blood splash like up on the booth?
I don't know about that. I don't remember.
I just remembered expecting it to be more, and then it wasn't. But as far as the staging goes, I mostly like that one.
Sure.
Especially because Sasha seems like the one who has the least to do with anything. Like she's totally innocent.
Right.
And then what's her boyfriend's name? Michael Rosenbaum's name?
Yeah. Parker.
Parker. I thought his was pretty decent just because his character's such an asshole throughout the movie.
Yeah. I mean, you want to see him die.
You see, like, and unfortunately there's a pet death in this movie, but like that moment really breaks him in a way that I didn't expect necessarily. Like he's agonized about it and freaking out, and then is killed pretty much immediately after that. So like that one sticks out to me just because there's a cruelty to it.
He at least has he reacts to the pet death if nothing else,
but he still doesn't know. Like it's not like he knows what's going on.
He's dispatched in seconds after that.
Yeah. So it's like but I agree that none of these kills are as iconic as they need to be to live up to the promise of the premise.
Right.
And I am also finding, I don't know if this is true for you, I increasingly dislike movies that just like people their scripts with cannon fodder. Unless it is super extreme, like unless it's very heightened and exaggerated, where it's like, oh, these people are awful, they need to go. But like when it's kind of committing halfway like this, I would rather care, I think. Like I don't just want to see a bunch of like rude people get dispatched. Like that doesn't necessarily read as pleasurable for me. If the point is to go like really big and campy and unrealistic, then commit, like heighten everything. Every character should be like Tosh, basically. I don't know. That's like a personal thing. Sure. I don't think that's a fair objective criticism of the movie.
I'm happy for unlikable characters to be killed. I don't know that I have a problem with that. What I don't like is when people show up in a movie and telegraph that they're going to die 30 minutes from then. An example that springs to mind is the Hellraiser remake.
Yeah, sure.
The Hulu movie, which we've only watched the once. I rather liked, though I can recall it having some problems. That might be a good one for this podcast.
Yeah.
But I can remember a character shows up, and so you have your lead character and the lead character's brother, and all these people like, okay, here's who I am, and I have these characters introduce themselves, like, oh, here's the relationship I have to you, our lead character, and here's why I'm important, here's what I'm gonna do, and then someone shows up, like, oh, hi, I'm the roommate.
Don't worry about me.
Yeah.
I won't be here for long.
Yeah, that was like, oh, which she may as well have said, hi, I'm going to die in 15 minutes. Like, she has no connection to anybody except that she's the lead character's brother's roommate. So she has nothing, right? So that's the kind of thing that gets on my nerves. If somebody just announces, like, I'm here to die in spectacular fashion, but otherwise I'm nothing. I'm just a body. Like, I could have no face, right?
Right.
Just
yeah.
Except, how else would I scream in pain?
I have no mouth, but I'm a scream.
Yes.
Sorry.
Anyway, but yeah, can we talk about thin characters?
Yeah, of course we can.
I think that's one of the problems actually with this movie is that most of the characters are so thin that nobody could be the killer except for Paul or Brenda.
Mm-hmm. Maybe Wexler.
Maybe. Well, he's thin.
I mean, but he's so red herring coded to me.
Right. Yeah, indeed. So but not least because he's played by Freddy Krueger. But yeah, so the only real candidates are those two, which, you know, we were post Scream, right? So one of the things post Scream is the killer is one of us. Who is it? One of our main cast who is pretending to be the victim, who's scared of the killings or whatever. That one of those people is the killer. So who's the killer? Well, are any of these characters, do they have enough that you even have grounds to suspect them for any reason? Most of these characters don't want for anything. They have no real relationship to one another or conflict with one another. One thing that...
I mean, they all, like, lightly antagonize one another because they're all assholes.
I mean, some more than others. Parker seems to have a thing against Paul.
But I never for 1 second thought that it was Parker. I mean, or rather,
No.
I wouldn't have if I had seen it without knowing the twist.
So, I mean, I think there are a few ways to solve this. Give them some kind of background or context, give people something, enrich these characters somewhat. I mean, I don't think any of these characters are especially... there's not enough there to enrich them for the most part. So there's not even enough to work with, I think. But I can remember a bit of writing advice that Kurt Vonnegut wrote down a list of, like, here's 15 things you have to do to improve your writing. And one of the things he said is that every character has to want something, even if it's a glass of water. Which, what do any of these characters want? Other than to not die. I mean,
totally.
There's that. But even some of them don't want that because they're denying that there even is a killer. So what does Sasha want?
To have sex.
Maybe. I mean, she has a sex radio show, but she's reading the
Kama Sutra.
She never. Yeah, I guess she does read the Kama Sutra one time. So she has sex about her, but she's not like, ooh, I gotta get that D. Like, she never even.
She never performs desire.
Yeah. What does Parker want?
God knows. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, he's just a dorm.
He's just a dick.
Yeah, he's just like a frat guy. He doesn't seem to have particular wants. And this isn't necessarily the way that you would need to fix this. Like, I didn't do that in my revision, but, like, all these characters are so thin. They're not rich enough in terms of they have these dimensions to their personalities. They're not rich in their relationships to one another. So you don't have, this person likes this person, but they don't like that person, and here's why. Here's the history that they share. They don't have that.
Which there's a lot of that in Scream. I mean, sorry to keep bringing up Scream.
No, there's no avoiding it.
But there's a lot that you can read from the way those characters interact with one another. Okay, this is maybe a weird thing to say, but, like, I know the characters are definitely thin. That's clear. The setting also feels thin, or, like, that world feels thin to me.
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, because there's one janitor, one security guard,
and one administrator.
Yeah.
And, you know, I don't want to, if you had more to say about the characters, which, I mean, I'm sure we will in general, but I don't want to cut you off. But
I do, actually. Let me get
just
to finish that thought real quick, which is that the only characters who want anything are Brenda and Paul. Brenda wants Paul. We've learned that about her right away. That she has a crush on Paul. Paul doesn't requite it. So there's that dynamic between the two of them. So Brenda wants Paul. Paul wants to break the big story because he's the journalist.
Mm-hmm.
So he actually has a career that he's enacting as a student, but he's thinking about a career beyond that. So these two characters have wants. They're the only possible candidates to be the killer. Well, Paul, no one would believe Jared Leto would kill anybody. No one would believe
our
that.
perfect angel, Jared Leto.
Nobody would ever think that.
Oh, listener, I wish you could see his face right now.
So it's Brenda. So you immediately like, oh, it's Brenda. So I solved it when I was watching the movie. I knew who it was, but it was just it wasn't because of anything. There's not like a
it's
puzzle.
Process of elimination.
Yeah, there's no puzzle that I'm solving. Like, okay, this movie has laid out these little bits of evidence, and I've put it together because I'm a clever, intrepid viewer, and I've solved it. It's not because of that. It's because there's nobody else who's a rich enough character for me to have spotted it, or to have ever been a candidate. So anyway, so that's the case. So you were saying about the setting?
The setting feels thin to me, and some of this I think is stuff that like any person watching the movie would notice. You know, like your comment, like why is there one security guard? Why is there one janitor, et cetera, et cetera. But like I work both in a college as a professor, but right now I'm also working as an administrator. And so it was just like the way that the school treats what's happening is so laughable to me, so outrageous.
Yeah.
If this ever happened, and I'm talking like if one person on a college campus were killed, there would be millions of meetings about it. This would be an all hands on deck situation.
Right.
There would be so much presence from college authorities. There would be so much security swarming around campus. There would be cops everywhere, almost certainly.
Mm-hmm.
It would be the board of trustees would be wanting to get in on this. Like there would be so much, and of course there would be an attempt to control public relations efforts, but like everyone would care so much.
Right. Sure.
So much. I was like, this is wild.
Yeah.
Because no one really seems to care at all. I was amazed.
Yeah, I mean, I will say that this is still the 90s, so I think you're right completely.
But this is also a post-Columbine world. You know?
Yeah. But when I was in school, I mean, this high school versus college, right? So at that time, I can remember when I was in high school, a few people dying, and interestingly enough, the response that it got varied depending on how popular the student was.
Ugh.
Yeah, I can remember a few cases like that are pretty grim.
That's grim.
Yeah, there are some cases where nobody gave a shit. Like it wasn't even really announced. Like I remember, like a popular kid when I was in high school killed himself, and I mean, they had counselors on site. It was this whole thing, and there was like one nerdy kid who was religious and really private, and was definitely a social outcast, and I only knew about it because I happened to know somebody who knew the brother of the kid.
Oh gosh,
like the school didn't. I mean, they didn't do anything. Nothing.
That's really tragic.
Yeah, nothing. So yeah, that was so the 90s, different time in that respect. Again, high school, college, different part of the world, early of the nation. So I
do think there's also,
but you're still right.
I do think there's also a difference between like, I do think the difference between high school and college is significant just because you have to go to high school. College, you pay a lot of money for the privilege of attending.
Sure,
you know,
especially the kind of New England.
Yeah,
school
clearly that's like an old money private school. Yeah. So I also think too, just like, of course, a student taking their own life, horrible. That's horrible.
Yeah, obviously very different from a murder.
But yeah, if a student dies in a violent crime, that's well, for one thing, it's a PR nightmare for your prestigious New England college. But yeah, it's just, you know, if there are parents being frightened for student safety, right, the reputation of the campus that they wish to maintain, like there would be emergency late night meetings. People would be going nuts trying to figure this out.
Well, one thing I will say about that is that the murder happens off campus. I don't know why they make such a big deal of it. like in the movie they sort of treat it as if it happened on campus, but indeed it does not.
Yeah, I mean,
it's just like at a gas station nearby.
It's still like one of our students was killed.
Sure,
that's still a big deal. Especially, and then when another student goes missing, even though they don't know that he's been killed, I'm like, people would really care. Mm-hmm. People would really care.
So yeah, I would quibble with what you're saying to an extent, just because you said the setting is thin. I would say it's more the premise is thin. The setting's thin too,
but also like, what is going on with this campus that like it's not filled with administrators?
Well, yeah. So the college has one professor.
Yeah.
One class. One administrator. Yeah, one class. One professor, one class, one administrator, one security guard, one janitor. Which you don't have to have all of those people be characters, but I mean, you should see people walking around in suits and people wearing security uniforms.
It should exist
you
by
can have
implication.
One lead person who's doing that. Yeah, but you don't. Yeah.
But like the thing of like the dean and the single security officer are the only people doing damage control. No. And I know, like, it's a movie and stuff, but, like, this, it's hard when you see your profession being just wildly misrepresented.
Sure. Actually, so we have a series of problems here that I think that are that you're sort of alluding to the first big one. But actually, if I could just read this big passage here that I have, because I have... So
Do you have a rant again?
Yeah, so the movie, so the whole premise is based on things that are fairly nonsensical. So the lead character was a passenger in a vehicle where the driver was flashing high beams at a guy because it was based on this idea of the urban legend where if you see somebody
gang initiation.
Yeah, so if you see somebody who's going around with their headlights off, you flash your high beams at them, and then the gang initiation, what that's supposed to be is the gang member pulls a Yui and then kills you. And that's the gang initiation, urban legend. So it's a variation on that. Like, so they're sort of playing a prank. So the driver of the car, who is the first victim in the movie, Michelle Mancini, is flashing the high beams at the driver, and it blinds him to the extent... this would never actually happen, but it blinds him to the extent that he goes off the road, loses control of the car, crashes, dies.
Well, and they chase him, too.
Well, they follow him, yeah. It's not a high speed, let's get him. They're not trying to kill him.
I thought they drove him off of the road accidentally.
Through blinding him, yeah.
Okay.
Right, okay. So they didn't, this isn't a high-speed chase situation or anything, but she's goofing off and accidentally kills him. This guy was later revealed to have been the boyfriend of Rebecca Gayhart's Brenda. And so that's what makes the whole movie happen, is that inciting event. So we have problems there. The first is that if you're a passenger in a car where the driver commits a crime, you didn't commit a crime. You're a passenger in a car.
Right.
So that just doesn't work that way. So Brenda, or excuse me, Natalie. Yeah, couldn't think of her name for a second. So that's a big part of her background. So they are upset with her later on in the movie. You had charged for reckless endangerment and all that stuff. That's not a real thing. They
do say that it was her car. So I don't know if that makes her at all culpable. I don't know.
No, it doesn't. I mean, it just doesn't work that way.
Sure.
It's just not how the law works. So, okay, I mean, fine. You can accept certain things. You can stretch credibility to a degree. You can stretch it, but eventually it just breaks. So we start there. Our whole movie's predicated on that. So anyway, we proceed from that. Then the killer is focused on our protagonist, right? Alicia Witt, Natalie. She kills the actual girl who committed the crime.
Yeah.
First thing in the movie, with relative disinterest. I mean, she kills her, but she doesn't torture her. She doesn't center. She doesn't. Well, like the whole movie sort of centers around Natalie, our protagonist. Like she's torturing Natalie. Natalie's an accessory to the thing at best. Like, whereas she kills the actual perpetrator of the crime right away. She doesn't torture her. She does no big grand speech. She just kills her. Like, she barely knows what's happening.
The justification that I've heard people give for this is like, Natalie is tortured because she had the opportunity to do the right thing and she failed to. I don't really buy this as a justification. I'm not convinced. I think the movie just couldn't figure out,
So it continues on. My big speech. So your suspension of disbelief is further troubled, as you were saying, by the dean and the campus security guard. So these two people making determinations about whether a character died by suicide or murder when their real life involvement would be basically nothing. So if there's a murder, no dean is making decisions about that. I mean, like, about whether it was a murder. They might make a decision about how the college responds to that, but they're not in there like, well, we've carried out the forensic investigation. Like, that's not how life works. I mean, security guards, it just doesn't work like that. If it was a public institution, which this is clearly not, but if it were a public institution, you can some of the time have your campus security be police officers because they're employees of the state, or I guess theoretically a municipality, but like they're state employees, so they can be cops. They're not just private security or guards the way that like some yokel can be. But you still have detectives investigate that. So that your premise just fails here. It just doesn't work that way. So you're stretching your credibility even further. What else stretches credibility? Our killer is a slight woman. The actress is a model. She somehow overpowers every man in this movie. It's not just that like she jumps out from the corner and gets you. Like she gets into physical struggles with people and always wins. Which, like, how the shit is that happening, right? Not that women can't be strong or whatever, but when you think about it backwards,
Rebecca Gayheart's tiny.
She's slight, yeah. Tiny. So like, how is she just beating everybody up? And what is this? That's best not thought about. So that stretches your credibility. Let's see. She overpowers everyone. She gets thrown off a car, no problems. You see her later in the movie, and she's just fine.
And out of a building, too.
Right. And so finally, the thing that's stretching your credibility even further. So the killer is motivated to kill people in approximations of urban legends because her boyfriend's death was not exactly the urban legend, but an approximation of it. So they're not gang members who get out and then shoot the guy, which is what happens in that idea. Like the gang leader, that's how they select the person at random, and so then the gang member gets out and kills the person with the Glock or whatever because they're gang members. So it was teens are carrying out a urban legend inspired prank, which causes her to want to kill people in her own approximations of urban legends, while also coincidentally she wants to pin the murders on the professor who teaches a course having to do with urban legends at the same time.
And who was involved in a killing that has become an urban legend.
That has itself been an urban. Yeah. So there's just too many layers to it. So is she killing people, like the way that she talks about it when she has the big mask off, it's me, it's Brenda. I'm doing this because I can pin these murders on Professor Wexler. Right, because he's the urban legend guy, and so what a convenient thing for me that I can carry out the murders in this specific way, and I can get away with it because urban legends, it's going to seem like he cracked, and that's going to be that's the idea. Okay, but also your boyfriend happened to be killed in a way that was evoking an urban legend, so that's a coincidence. Like I can see, like okay, I'm not a serial killer, and I don't have a fascination with urban legends. I'm a killer. I'm using this is an opportunity for me. I can pin it on somebody. great. It can't be both. It's just too much.
There's an incredible degree of contrivance here.
Yes.
Just a shocking degree.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you. I absolutely and utterly agree with you. And a point that someone else made, I can't remember which podcast it was that pointed this out, but like Tosh died from being strangled. Yeah,
no shit. Strangled, and she had her wrists cut
after she died. That was a post-mortem wound.
As
far as we know.
That's unclear because she's murdered in the dark. So
that's true, but I mean,
in any real life scenario, you would not be able to slit somebody's wrists in a way that looks like suicide
while choking them.
Right.
So she would at least have to be choked to the point of unconsciousness.
She'd have marks from that for sure.
Yeah.
Yet another massive stretch of credibility.
I mean, there are a million others that you could point out. Like, why does everyone have these identical parka-style coats?
I know, yeah.
Exactly the same coat.
Actually, that's another thing that I have a problem with. The killer, so if you're going to have this... I mean, the problem with the movie is that it thinks it should exist because of Scream, right? Mm-hmm. And it took all the wrong lessons from Scream. And it imitated it in terms of, okay, so we've got teens on campus. Which in Scream, I don't remember if they were high schoolers.
Yeah.
Are they high schoolers? Yeah, Scream 2, they're on campus?
Yes.
Yeah, right, okay. So, yeah, they're teens on campus. Levity, like there's a certain tone. There's a certain like shitty, annoying teenager character.
And there's
that they imitate.
Meta commentary element.
Yeah, but they've mostly imitated. What they've really done is they've reinvented 80s slashers. Because what we don't have here is a meta commentary element. Mm-hmm. We don't have an exciting mystery. The cleverness is gone. The subversion of expectations that we have. In Scream, it's that there's not one killer, there's two. So you get so fixated on looking, who's the killer? Is it this guy? Is it that guy? Your mind isn't open to the possibility that it's potentially more than one. So that's the subversion that happens there. Here it's that it's a woman. That's not that exciting. It's
been done a million times.
It's just not that interesting. Yeah, so we've invented... So all you have, once you take away the cleverness, the meta element, you just have 80s slashers again, which, okay, I don't have a problem with it being an 80s slasher, but one of the things you don't have exciting kills, you don't have any characters that you care about. You also don't have a killer who's interesting. Like, you don't have 80s slashers always have a killer who has a look to them. Jason with the hockey mask. I mean, these are imposing figures you can put on your VHS box. We don't have that in this movie. So the killer is just a person in a coat. So there's not... You can't even look at the killer and be excited. Oh, they're here. It's just a guy in a coat. Or it turns out a gal in a coat. But
yeah. When the coat, I think it can be kind of a fun look, but when I think about how practical it also is too, it kind of gets on my nerves. Like, the bulky coat disguises her supermodel figure, So I'm like, that takes some of the fun out of it.
Yeah. It's bland to me, just like the rest of this movie.
Also,
it's a person in a coat. Great. That's our killer.
Something else that I learned is that this movie was supposed to take place during the winter, which would justify the presence of all these different coats. But it's inexplicably September or something.
Right.
So it's just oh my God, why? Yeah, I don't hate the big because you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of The Thing, the poster.
The poster to The Thing, yeah.
I do think that's a little bit fun, but it could be better. It could be more iconic.
Yeah, I mean, the thing with if you want to allude to the poster of The Thing, that's something that actual horror fans are going to care about. Which the babies are going to watch this movie don't even know what that is.
Yeah.
Well, they watch The Thing and think it's boring.
Sure. Which I can't even comment on that because that's too upsetting to think about.
When I was a teenager, I had a bunch of friends by and we watched The Thing and they all thought it was stupid and boring. They all hated it.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
What in the world?
Because The Thing isn't a movie where a bunch of things jump out and startle you. That's what a lot of
Oh my
that's
God,
what teens.
it's so grotesque.
That's what
and
stupid
tense.
teens. Not all teens. I'm not going to entitle every teen in saying this, but like stupid teens. That's what they think a horror movie is something jumping out and startling you. They're like it's a movie where you jump, right? That's what a dumb teen horror movie is to dumb teens.
Yeah,
like
that's not a horror
something
movie.
jumping
That's
out, and then they jump and they throw their popcorn. That's not what a horror movie is,
No.
or not a successful one. Anything can startle you. Like, I can jump behind somebody and startle them. I'm not horrifying.
You're not a horror
movie. It's just not the same thing.
Oh my God.
Um,
Well, horror, and I mean, this is me just being like annoying for a second, but like horror as defined in the sort of literary tradition is the feeling of suddenly apprehending something awful. It's when you realize like, oh God, X was true all along, or like, oh, a secret is revealed.
Mm-hmm.
That's distinguished from terror, which is more of a prehensile feeling. That's dread. That's like, you're afraid that you're about to be killed by a killer. That's terror. But horror is realizing all your friends are dead. So it's like the sort of the revelation is that horror feeling, not the sudden like startle feeling.
Sure.
I'm just like from a sort of point of view of like taxonomy, that definition for horror movies really irritates the heck out of me.
Sure.
It just is like, oh, it makes you jump. Like, no, no, you're completely wrong. Anyway, annoying moment over.
yeah.
Yeah. Can I talk about another thing that bugs me?
Sure.
Well, okay, God, there's so many. But I wish Brad Dourif, Robert Englund, Danielle Harris, Julian Richings, like I wish they all got more to do here. They feel squandered in some ways. I mean, Tosh makes a splash, definitely. But and Brad Dourif's scene is fun in the beginning, but like Robert Englund barely gets to do anything.
Yeah.
Which is a shame because he's so good at, chewing the scenery when he gets the chance, as we all know.
Yeah, he's Freddy. He's one of the greats.
He's Freddy. Yeah. If you're going to have these horror icons, it's like, again, if you're going to gesture towards better things, you got to do it in a way that's smart. Even like some of the character names, like, Michelle Mancini being a reference to Harry Mancini.
No. Don Mancini. Harry Mancini is a singer.
Oh my God, that's so funny. Forgive me.
Don Mancini directed Child's Play.
I just lost all of my horror cred.
No, did he direct it or did he? He was involved with the whole series. He didn't direct all of them, but I think he wrote them all.
Hold on. Harry Mancini, Jesus Christ.
Hey, we got to refer to, let's ask our assistant. Hey, Paul, can we get a research note on Don Mancini?
Paul, also, I asked you for a coffee about 30 minutes ago. Thanks, Paul. Harry Mancini. I'm pissed at myself. Oh my God. I'm just going to have to lie down and die. But no, yeah.
The original movie was directed by Tom Holland. Don Mancini created the character. He wrote it. And he wrote all of them. So he was the sort of the creative through line in that series. Anyway, yeah.
It just feels like it's like winking at better things.
Yeah, that's dangerous
constantly.
territory. Don't evoke better movies than the movie you're making. Not always a good idea.
Another problem to me is that it's like I think I said earlier, like the premise introduces issues structurally where like if everyone knows the urban legends, then they know how a sequence is going to proceed. I mean, unless there's some meaningful twist on the urban legend. Mm-hmm. But if you give it a meaningful twist, then it's further away from the original urban legend.
Right.
Conversely, if, say, it's 25 or however many years later, and your audience isn't familiar with the urban legend, it loses a lot of steam, or it might even come to seem like nonsensical. I mean, it's like weirdly trapped in its moment.
Yeah. That's kind of an interesting thing.
You can't necessarily avoid that, and I don't think that's like a reason not to make the movie, but it does introduce like this sort of quandary into the whole thing.
Yeah, that's kind of an interesting thought. The fact it's sort of trapped in its time, because urban legends do kind of go away.
Yeah, well, like there were certain like I've heard of the like hook-handed killer story, but I had not heard of like the hanging story that's associated with that, where like someone is suspended just above the car and you can hear their feet touching.
I've never heard of that before. Yeah.
Apparently it is a real urban legend.
Okay.
I just had not heard it. I also, maybe this is just me being crabby, but like I find that the kidney heist urban legend doesn't fit in with the others, because it feels like, oh, that's more about like crime, like organized crime, than like a killer, like a solitary
at the same time,
killer.
the flashing lights is gang initiation.
That's true,
crime.
but I don't love that as much either.
Uh-huh.
I like the ones that are more like straight up, like, oh, you know, the call is coming from inside the house. Again, that's just a personal critique.
Well, that's more obviously serial killer stuff.
Yeah.
You know,
it just feels
more obvious horror fodder.
I guess it just feels like it lacks a consistent identity. Sure. Maybe that's my issue.
Okay, so I think at this point I've probably said most of my critiques. I only really have one thing left to cover, which is just that the movie makes a few choices that are a little unusual, or feels like they're not necessarily thinking through all of the consequences of that. First among them is that they make a lot about Damon being missing. We see Damon die, we the audience. We have dramatic irony. We know something that the character does not. So Damon is killed somewhat inadvertently in this elaborate trap by Natalie. However, Natalie doesn't realize that. And the movie kind of lingers on whether or not he's dead for a long time, even though we know that. So there's a mystery element for her, but not for us, that we kind of stay in that mode for a while, up to the point where the killer calls Parker from Damon's cell phone. Like, it's still part of the story up to that point. It doesn't feel like it's a useful addition, or that it adds to the story in any way, really. It's more confusing.
I totally agree. And I have to say, like, I feel really dumb admitting this, but like that the attempt to frame him as a potential suspect, like to the characters diegetically, was lost on me. Like, I was like, why did Damon check out the book of urban legends from the library?
Right, yeah.
It just felt stupid.
They throw evidence toward that,
and
it's weird.
You know, cause I think I would, probably just because I already knew who the killer was, I wasn't thinking about who could it be. And we see him die, so, you know, it's like this double layer of like, why would they even try to suggest? Yeah,
you wonder if there was ever an idea that maybe they'd edit it differently and they'd reveal that he was killed or something in a flashback or something, or in an expository scene. I'm not sure. There's sort of a lingering fragment from a different idea of what this movie would be. So I wonder about that. They also make a lot about the Stanley Hall massacre, which in the movie is a killing, like a bunch of students were killed by a student in 1973, so 25 years before the time of the movie is set. So they linger on that a lot, but it's ultimately kind of irrelevant.
Nothing really happens with it.
Yeah, it's
which
not an
feels
important,
like a shame.
Yeah, it's not an important part of the story. So it's the fake inspiration for the murders to be pinned on Wexler. So Wexler was the sole survivor of that event. The idea that they were going to come up with, and Brenda had, was that he snapped. It was an idea that Paul also sort of speculated as to that he snapped when they are thinking that he's the killer, that he has went through this and was doing his studies on urban legends, and eventually lost his mind and started doing these urban legend killers. But anyway, so he's just so stressed from the cover-up. That's sort of the thinking. But the notion of pinning things on Wexler is kind of irrelevant. Like, that's not an important part of the story, really, because Brenda, the system is suppressing the activities anyway. So the gas station attendant is arrested for the murder of Michelle. Which you don't get the sense that Brenda planned that. Damon,
it just kind of worked out.
Yeah, everybody thinks Damon's gone. They hide his car, so they don't know where he is. They just think he's kind of missing. So they're not always thinking that Damon is dead. Tasha's death is ruled a suicide. So the college basically steps in and through their malice or incompetence or whatever, for their own self-interest, they rule it incorrectly. So like the whole system is suppressing this anyway. So there's no need to pin it on anybody. The system is doing it for you.
Ultimately, Wexler is just another red herring with some fancy salad dressing on him.
Right.
And it's like, okay, like if you're going to do something, because I do think the idea of like the urban legend that is specific to your college or your university or your school, like that's fun to me.
Yeah.
That could have been made. Like they could have done something more with that.
Yeah, lots of colleges have things like that.
Yeah,
like
I mean, our alma mater has ghost stories.
Yeah.
My graduate school has ghost stories. You know, like why not? And also, it just speaks to me to the breadth of possibility for the urban legend. You know, it can encompass anything from cryptids to, you know, myths about like famous historical events to regional or like very specific local locations. It can be so much. So why not play with it in a way that feels like it's contributing to the movie in some way? I wanted to ask you, I wanted to get your opinion on this because I really struggled to believe that something like a mass murder that happened just in 1978, which I would consider more or less the modern era, was so successfully suppressed that people weren't sure if it had actually even happened. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe, I don't know, 1950, 1900, sure. But like you would think that the massacre would be more or less a matter of public record. I don't know. Do you feel that way?
Yeah, it's premised on nothing. Yeah, you can't do that. I mean, it's just not doable. No, not in a college, in a highly public space like that.
And
it's not
prestigious one too.
Yeah, it's not. There's just no way.
I could see there being something like
a mass murder. No,
there's like the details around the killing have been built up into a legend, or like it's not well publicized who the survivor was or something to protect his identity, but not the whole thing.
Yeah,
especially when the dorm is still there; it's just boarded up. So I was like, the ongoing mystery of whether the massacre even happened seemed crazy to me.
Yeah. So, this movie stretches credibility every which way. Really, it's completely, almost nothing in here is sensible. It's all nonsense. That's one of many nonsensical things. It's just it doesn't stick out to me because it's so irrelevant to the story otherwise.
It's just one of many things in a heap.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully your movie doesn't have any contrivances, but it's okay to give a movie a few, right? This movie's for babies. I don't mind it being for babies. That's okay. I mean, babies need movies too.
Jinx. I mean, I'll even go so far as to say, like, if a contrivance is fun, like if I can feel the film and the filmmakers like giving me a little cheeky wink, like, come on, this is fun. Isn't it more fun this way? I can kind of go along with some of that, if it hits me right. But here it's just like the movie is like trembling beneath the weight of its contrivances.
Yeah.
Oh, I had one other thing that I wanted to say.
Okay.
And again, I don't know that I would characterize this as a flaw in the movie. Like, I don't think a film professor would be like, this is a way in which this movie is flawed. It's just something I found off-putting. Poor Hootie, the dog, is treated basically like a sacrificial animal throughout the whole movie. Like the second you see him, you're like, oh, he's fucked. He's absolutely screwed, because they're even the quote unquote good characters are mistreating this dog. They're piercing its nose, they're feeding him beer from like a hose. They're just doing all these horrible things to the animal. And I was kind of shocked at the flippancy with which the movie treats it, because like his death is also hands down, the most horrible one and the most visceral one in the
Yeah.
whole movie.
Yeah.
Because, listener, in case you haven't seen the film, he's put into a microwave and, you know,
Exploded.
you don't see it, thank God, but
you see a camera inside the microwave.
you see the
so
aftermath.
after the fact. Yeah.
It's gross.
Yeah.
And it's just a bummer. I mean, I struggle with animal violence in any context, in any genre of movie, but I was just like, wow, the movie really doesn't give a shit about this poor dog. So I was like, okay, that takes some of the fun out for me. Again, that's just, it's subjective, but I felt like I ought to bring it up.
Sure.
R.I.P. Hootie.
All right.
Well, I mean, it seemed impossible, but have we exhausted the things that aren't working about this movie?
I think we have, yes.
Okay.
We've made our point. There's
I
more,
think
there's probably
so.
more to be said, but I think we've made our point.
Well, should we,
Okay. Well, relevant to what you just said, I'm going to go give a dog a beer through a beer bong, and then I'll be back with my revision.
Yeah, I'll be back with my revision in just a second, but hold on. I think I hear the microwave beeping.
I almost made the same joke.
I almost changed it many times because I was worried it was too dark.
All right. We'll be right back.
Yeah. Okay. So in my revision, that introductory scene is almost exactly the same. There's one very slight difference. Because overall, it's maybe my favorite part of the movie. But the final shot after the killer decapitates Michelle with an axe is that we see a shot of Michelle's blood-spattered student ID for Pendleton University, which gradually fades into the brick marquee of the college. Just to make it extra clear that she is a student there.
Sure.
Yeah, so again, just the tiniest little change. The next evening, on Pendleton University campus, student DJ Sasha hosts Sycamore Story Hour, where students can call in to tell spooky stories and to report on Sycamore sightings. As Sasha's friends wait for her segment to conclude outside of the recording booth, the studious Natalie and her bubbly best friend Brenda ask why the segment is called Sycamore Story Hour. Sasha's audio producer boyfriend, Parker, explains that one of the campus residences, Sycamore Hall, was the site of a massacre in 1973. The killer, the supposed Sycamore slasher, went knocking from door to door, killing anyone who opened up, and apparently there were no survivors in the whole building. Parker's story is rudely discredited by ambitious school journalist Paul, Brenda's crush. Paul claims that there's a rumor that there was a single survivor, but no one knows who. Sasha wraps her show for the night with an announcement for the annual Winter Festival, which will, coincidentally, take place on the 25th anniversary of the massacre. Okay, so lots of sort of minor seeming changes here, but that will sort of snowball, I think. Yeah. So I made Parker the audio engineer for the radio show just to give him a little bit more to do. Mm-hmm. I changed Stanley Hall to Sycamore Hall because I realized that Stanley Slasher sounded just way too much like Stanley Steamers for my liking. So it was just gonna bug me. Yeah. I also liked, I don't know, I liked
fine company, Stanley Steamers.
Yeah. And I would not
never want to
I would not defame them for the world. But I also liked the sound of Sycamore. Like it just I liked it.
It's spooky.
Spooky Sycamore. What was I also going to say? Oh yeah. You will see. I've made up the Winter Festival. More on that later. Natalie and Brenda further discuss the Sycamore Hall massacre as they pass by the building on their way back to their dorms. Brenda reveals that if you stand in the doorway of a Sycamore Hall dorm room and chant, "Sycamore Slasher, are you at the door?" 3 times, he will appear and kill you. Natalie, a little frightened, tries to play it off. Brenda teases her but leaves shortly after for her work study. Upon returning to her own dorm, Natalie accidentally interrupts her goth roommate Tosh trying to sleep. Tosh yells at Natalie to turn off the lights. Natalie obliges and goes to read a book in bed until Tosh angrily exclaims that the book light is keeping her up and she has to be up at 5 a.m. So some more changes. Tosh is no longer a sex-crazed maniac.
Damn.
Not because I dislike that. I actually really love that about her, but it's a practical change that, again, you'll see momentarily. Are you saddened? Are you heartbroken?
We'll see.
Okay. I also wanted to do exactly what I was talking about before and because, in that beginning scene where Natalie and Brenda are walking past Stanley Hall, they talk about the Bloody Mary legend.
Uh-huh.
So I was like, why the hell not tie it in
Sure.
to the Pendleton mythos? Anyway, moving along. The next morning, Natalie, Brenda, Parker, and their friend Damon attend Professor Wexler's class, where he asks the class for examples of urban legends. Natalie notes all the different myths surrounding the sinking of the Titanic. Brenda brings up chain letters, and another student brings up a story in which the babysitter receives a call from a killer who's secretly hiding inside the house. Wexler points out that none of these supposed happenings ever actually took place, despite some students claiming second or third-hand knowledge of such events. Wexler explains this communal legend-making is not a new phenomenon, but that the myths are surprisingly difficult to dispel, no matter how much time passes. So the next bit is the same. Brenda cracks a joke. She goes on stage to do the pop rocks and soda thing. She doesn't want to. Damon does. Plays the prank of seizing. After class, Natalie stops Professor Wexler, first apologizing for Damon's crass behavior, then asking for Wexler's thoughts on her idea for her final essay for the class. He offers to speak with her more during office hours the next day, but he leaves abruptly, claiming that an urgent appointment demands his attention. The next tiny little bit is the same. They go to the quad. They see Paul's article in the student newspaper talking about Michelle's death. Dean Adams and Reese take the papers, fuss at the students, etc. Natalie seems withdrawn, while the others are more apathetic about Michelle's death, with Damon even making a crude joke. When Brenda asks Natalie what's wrong, Natalie complains to Brenda, rather facetiously or deceptively, about how mean Tosh has been to her recently. But Paul remarks that Tosh is probably just exhausted from her work study, as he's seen her every morning working the early shift in the cafeteria. Brenda teases Paul, asking him if he has a thing for goth girls. He demurs. As Natalie returns to her dorm and is greeted by a grumpy Tosh, we learn that Natalie and Michelle were once good friends in high school. Prankster Damon, noticing that Natalie seems down, offers to talk, and the two drive into the snowy woods in his BMW. It's winter now, as it always should have been. Natalie comments on how nice his car is, but Damon brushes the compliment off, saying it's a hand-me-down from his father after he wrecked his Jag. Damon feigns a sob story in an attempt to hook up with Natalie, but she sees through it and threatens to reveal, quote, what happened at the summer bridge program unless he lays off. Damon excuses himself and is then attacked by the killer, who hangs him from a tree with the rope attached to the car. Natalie attempts to drive away, terrified, but the car stalls on the ice. As the killer approaches Natalie, she attempts to run them over, strangling and killing Damon in the process. The killer disappears, and Natalie flees the scene. Finding a payphone, Natalie calls the cops. The officers take her back to the scene of the crime, but the clearing is totally empty. When Natalie postulates that it is the same person who killed Michelle Mancini, the cops dismiss her claim, stating a suspect has already been arrested for Michelle's murder. So, some small changes here. Want to emphasize Damon's not just like a douche, he's a rich douche. Was R.I.P. Also hinting at a couple of things with their past together, and also I was like, why would Reese be the one to take Natalie back to the scene of the crime?
Uh-huh.
That's a job for the police.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel like there was another thing I wanted to note too, but I can't remember what it was. Oh, well. Okay. Also, I'm remembering another question I had. Was the killer going to kill Natalie in that moment in the forest?
I wondered that.
Yeah. Anyway, I won't linger.
Yeah.
Just wanted to put that out there. Moving on. An exhausted, upset, frustrated, and uneasy Natalie returns to campus at the crack of dawn. She drags herself to the cafeteria for breakfast and notices Tosh already hard at work. She waves. Tosh flips her off. A few minutes later, she's surprised to see Paul talking with Tosh, apparently interviewing her for the paper. After her quick breakfast, Natalie returns to her room and crashes for a few hours until a perky Brenda startles her awake. Brenda asks why Natalie wasn't in class earlier, but then Natalie asks how Brenda got in the room. Brenda explains that Tosh let her in, although she's nowhere to be seen now. Natalie tells Brenda about the previous night's events, and Brenda reacts with dismay, suggesting that maybe it is the work of the Sycamore slasher. Brenda then asks if Natalie will help her put up posters for the upcoming winter festival, but Natalie says she has an errand to run. Natalie visits Professor Wexler during office hours. He notes with surprise that she was absent from class, saying she's usually got perfect attendance, and she explains that she was up all night filling out a police report. Wexler reacts with obvious unease, changing the subject abruptly to Natalie's paper. Natalie's thesis is that urban legends are a form of myth-making within lower-income communities. Wexler is encouraging, but he asks how things like the internet, supposedly democratizing platforms, fit into her theory, given that so many urban legends spread online in chat rooms and forums. Natalie argues that the internet is a significant development in the spread of urban legends, but the legends themselves are much older than that, as Wexler himself noted in class, and they have spread by word of mouth for decades. Wexler says Natalie's ideas sound promising and recommends that she do some more research. The next day, Natalie tells Parker, Paul, and Sasha about Damon's death, but they're all skeptical about her story and try to assure her that it was likely just an elaborate prank. Natalie then realizes both Michelle and Damon's murders are based on urban legends, but she is hurt that her friends disregard her theory. Later, Natalie goes to the library to confirm her suspicions. She runs into Sasha, who's at the library researching ghost stories to read on her radio show. Natalie asks her what she knows about the Sycamore Hall massacre, and Sasha admits she doesn't know much. The school kept few materials about the killings in places easily accessible to students. She recommends talking to the senior faculty, who were maybe around when it happened. Natalie reluctantly reveals to Sasha that she's still having doubts about Damon, and so they read up on several urban legends, including the method by which Damon was killed, and another where gang members kill anyone who warns them about their headlights being off. Sasha leaves Natalie alone as it's almost time for Sycamore Story Hour. While Natalie is away, an exhausted Tosh returns from work and contemplates catching up on her homework. Instead, she flips through her school notes and finds where Paul has given her his phone number. She flops on the bed and dials the number on her cordless phone, but as it's ringing, the killer attacks her. They struggle on the bed until the killer manages to cut her throat. After Tosh is dead, the killer lingers for a moment, tucking Tosh's corpse in and turning out the light. The killer manages to grab... I forgot to delete a line. When Natalie returns to her room, she leaves the lights off, not wishing for Tosh to yell at her a second time. Thinking Tosh is merely sleeping, Natalie crawls into bed and goes to sleep. But in the morning, a shocked Natalie discovers her corpse and the words, "Aren't you glad you didn't turn on the light?" scrawled in the wall in her blood. That morning, Natalie talks to an endless carousel of school administrators and police officers. While talking with Dean Adams and Reese, the security officer, Natalie realizes that their first and maybe only priority is not finding Tosh and Damon's killer, but rather doing damage control for the sake of PR. A supportive Brenda offers for Natalie to move into her dorm room for the rest of the year, since her original roommate transferred unexpectedly. Meanwhile, Paul offers to help Natalie solve the rising mystery. Natalie theorizes that the murders have something to do with the Sycamore slasher, but once again, Paul doubts her, saying that it was that was most likely a red herring. No one knows more about Pendleton's history than Professor Wexler, so the two go to his office to speak with him. And this is when they discover he's not there. He has a secret room with suspicious objects. Mm-hmm. Wexler, of course, catches them in the office, takes them to the dean, who is just wrapping up an emergency meeting with other school administrators, of course, talking about the recent death on campus. The dean then holds up an article Paul submitted to the editor of the school paper, a draft of an expose about Damon taking advantage of prospective students during the summer bridge program. The dean says the article is defamatory and never should have been published or submitted or written at all. He fires Paul from the school newspaper. Then, of course, he brings up Natalie's hidden past, the criminal charge. Paul is like, what the hell, Natalie? She won't talk about it. All right. Later, as Brenda and Natalie move Natalie's things to Brenda's room, Natalie notes that even though Brenda has lots of clothes from trendy brands, most of her other possessions are old and worn, and her laptop computer is one that was borrowed from the school's computer lab. This is the moment, rather than after the weird swimming red herring, that Natalie reveals her mysterious past to a concerned Brenda. One night, Natalie and Michelle, who used to be best friends, reenacted an urban legend. They were driving with their headlights turned off and pursued the first driver who flashed them, causing him to run off the road and die in the crash. She does, of course, state she was not the driver, but only the passenger. Brenda's horrified by the story and suggests that they both meet up at the winter festival that night once Brenda gets off of her shift to take their minds off the recent grisly events. Natalie reluctantly agrees to go. That evening, as snow falls gently outside, Dean Adams, Reese, and other school administrators wrap up yet another emergency meeting to discuss the ongoing deaths. Reese requests to staff the winter carnival with additional security officers, but Dean Adams dismisses her concerns, telling her that PR is the university's top priority for the time being. He tells her to keep things quiet and to discourage students from talking about the deaths and disappearances with any media, at least until the anniversary of the Sycamore massacre has passed. She nods, discreetly calling him an asshole behind his back. Soon after, the meeting ends and the committee disperses. As the dean is leaving campus, he is attacked in the parking garage. The killer, hiding beneath his car, cuts the dean's Achilles tendon, and while he crawls away, his own car runs him over, forcing a row of tire spikes to impale his body and killing him. Later, Reese finds Professor Wexler's office trashed and slips in a pool of blood. Going against the dean's wishes, she notifies the police, who are tied up with dozens of calls due to the icy winter roads. That night, a couple of hours into the winter festival, Sasha is interviewing students for a special episode of her radio show. Sasha meets up with Parker, who asks if she has time to take a break. The two sneak off to do a special videotape recording from Sycamore Hall. Parker films Sasha as she explores the rundown dormitory. Eventually, she decides to try summoning the Sycamore slasher. She and Parker shut themselves in a dusty dorm room, and she chants, "Sycamore slasher, are you at the door?" 3 times. Just as she shrugs at the camera, the killer breaks down the door with an axe and kills Parker, sending his camcorder spinning into the hall. The killer picks it up and films himself chasing Sasha around the dormitory until she's backed into a corner. Sasha sobbingly tells the killer she doesn't want to die, but the killer ignores her pleas and hacks her to death with the axe. The killer waves at the camera once Sasha is dead, then tosses it to the ground. So obviously we're getting further afield from the original now. I still do like Sasha's original death in the movie, so I wanted to preserve something of that, but again, wanted to make it a little bit more specific to the school massacre. All right. Natalie arrives at the carnival and is nervous to see huge crowds of people walking around in parkas similar to the killers. Brenda runs up and greets her, still dressed in her work uniform. They walk around the rides, stalls, and snack vendors together. Brenda remarks that she was lucky her shift ended before the festival was over. They buy candied apples and cocoa at a stall, and then Brenda pulls Natalie to the side to tell her something she learned from her supervisor earlier that day. Professor Wexler, formerly known as Harry Wilkes, was the sole survivor of the Sycamore Hall massacre, and that Pendleton University paid for his graduate schooling and gave him a job for life in exchange for his silence. Natalie and Brenda theorize that Wexler has snapped on the anniversary of the traumatic event and is now killing people. However, before they can discuss what to do next, Brenda screams in pain. Blood pours out of her mouth, and in the middle of her candied apple is a cluster of razor blades. Brenda swoons and passes out, and Natalie runs to the snack stall to warn everyone not to eat the apples. At first, no one pays her much mind, but after seeing the bloody-mouthed Brenda nearby, the crowd begins to panic. Natalie runs to the broadcasting booth on the festival grounds to make an announcement over the loudspeakers, but there she discovers Damon's mottled corpse, a noose still tied to his neck. The crowd, seeing this, panics further and flees the area, leaving the festival grounds eerily empty. Then Natalie notices Brenda has vanished. Unsure what else to do, Natalie runs to Paul's dorm room and finds him just coming in, a stormy expression on his face and his hands shaking. He asks her where she's been since their fight the other day. She explains that she was just at the Winter Festival, where Brenda was badly hurt, and Damon was indeed killed. Paul says that he guessed that already, tossing Natalie Parker's blood-spattered camcorder. Natalie watches the recording, horrified, and asks Paul how he got it, increasingly scared that he is the killer. Instead of answering, he tells her that he's learned a lot of interesting things recently. Natalie, suddenly remembering Paul's recent article, asks how Paul knew about Damon's secret in the first place. He admits that he got an anonymous tip telling him to dig up dirt on his closest friends. Nervously, Natalie tells Paul what she learned about Wexler's true identity, hoping that either Wexler is indeed the killer after all, or else that Paul will think she does not suspect him. She urges him to go to the police with her, but Paul tells her her theory is bullshit and they both know it. He then says that he was on the phone with Tosh the night that she was killed, and he heard the voice of the killer. He corners Natalie, demanding that she confess to her crimes. Natalie panics and clocks him with his heavy laptop, knocking him unconscious. She flees. Meanwhile, Reese, searching for the dean, sees the deserted festival grounds, then stumbles upon the bloody corpse of the dean in the parking garage. Horrified, she decides to take the law into her own hands and retrieves her gun from her office. So a couple things here. I kind of like the idea of Paul and Natalie being really suspicious of one another, and like that being kind of this moment of miscommunication where no matter what the other one does, they just look guiltier in the other's eyes. Mm-hmm. I also was so totally disinterested in the romance between them. The one thing that I liked about the romance was that it Brenda sees them kissing and then has an excuse to run off from the party. But I was like, I don't feel too bad about losing that. Uh-huh. All right. While searching for a payphone to call the police, Natalie sees a bloodied candied apple sitting on the steps in front of Sycamore Hall. Horrified, she debates what to do until she hears Brenda screaming for help from inside. Natalie breaks into the building, and on the higher floors, she discovers the dead bodies of Parker, Dean Adams, Sasha, and Professor Wexler. In the final room, she discovers Brenda lying on a bed, slashed, bloody, and presumably dead. As Natalie starts crying, Brenda sits up and knocks her unconscious. Waking up, Natalie finds herself tied to the bed and gagged. The killer comes in and unmasks herself as Brenda. She plays mind games with Natalie and taunts her about Natalie's valiant attempt to save her. Brenda reveals that the young man Natalie and Michelle killed with the high beams prank was her older brother. Natalie screams and cries, apologizing and begging to be freed. She claims she was only the passenger and she had nothing to do with the prank, at which point Brenda slaps her silly. Then, taking Natalie gently by the shoulders, Brenda tells her she can finally give up the charade. Natalie, bug-eyed with fear, pretends not to know what Brenda is talking about. Brenda explains that she watched the police interview tapes of Michelle and Natalie 100 times in a state of obsessive despair, getting to know every word, every facial expression. She followed the girls to Pendleton with the object of finding the truth for herself. The better she got to know everyone at Pendleton, however, the more she was disgusted by the way money and status seemed to insulate people from taking responsibility for their actions. Damon was obviously a rich scumbag, and Michelle was such an irresponsible brat that she had to go. Tosh, while poor like Brenda, was just a heinous bitch. All the others told her everything she needed to know when they didn't care that people were being brutally murdered. Even Wexler survived the Sycamore Hall massacre by shoving his own girlfriend in front of the killer, buying just enough time to escape. At first, Brenda admits, she never actually intended to kill Natalie. Natalie seemed like such a good person in comparison with the rest. But then, Brenda saw Natalie lie that she didn't know Michelle, and that was when she knew that she had been lying in the police investigation too. Brenda forces Natalie to confess the truth at knife point, that Natalie was the one driving that fateful night, not Michelle. They had merely covered up the truth to preserve Natalie's scholarship. What a shame, Brenda says, that you're just like the rest of them. Wealthy, smug, safe from punishment, but not anymore. Brenda explains that she is now exacting her revenge by turning all Natalie's friends into urban legends, saying 25 years from now, they might not remember your names. They might not even remember what you did, but they're sure as hell gonna remember what happened to you. She begins to cut open Natalie's stomach in the fashion of the kidney heist legend, but Reese rushes in and forces Brenda to get away from Natalie. Reese frees Natalie. However, Brenda successfully disarms Reese by slicing her with a hidden knife. Brenda and Reese struggle for the gun, but Reese is shot, and Brenda turns the gun on Natalie. Just as she's about to fire, a wounded Reese reaches up and shoots Brenda in the arm with her backup gun, causing Brenda to drop the one she was holding. Natalie uses this as an opportunity to push Brenda out the window. The plan backfires, however, and though Brenda falls, she manages to grab Natalie and pull her down with her. The two girls plummet several stories to the ground, and the screen briefly fades to black. Moments later, Natalie wakes, realizing that Brenda is crushed beneath her. Brenda's body has broken her fall. Barely clinging to life, Brenda murmurs, "I can't fucking believe it. Unsinkable Molly Brown." She expires. Sometime later, the story is revealed to be a legend being told to another group of students. They all disbelieve the tale, debunking it as a legend. One young woman believes the storyteller, but says he told it wrong. The woman is revealed to be Natalie, who then begins to tell the story as it really occurred. The end. So I wanted to give this just any kind of depth. And, you know, I don't know that I feel like I 100% succeeded with that, because obviously the comment on class is like pretty casual. But there was something about just like the shitty attitudes of all of these teenagers that really got under my skin, and I wanted to do something with it, while also the fact
that all of the characters are annoying.
Yeah, and like play up that you know, they're going to this super Ivy League coded university. It's probably breaking the frigging bank for all of their families. Wanted to play up the school mythology. Wanted to have Brenda have a little bit more of an interesting motivation, at least one that I found more interesting. And then give it a downer ending on top of it. I wanted Natalie to be more culpable, and so that, you know, you're really repelled by her in the moment because she's been sort of masquerading as like the one good person amid this sea of shitty people. And then I wanted to simplify the ending because I was like not really into the multiple fake outs where Brenda was still alive. It's like, oh, like what if like she tries so hard to take out Natalie, and Natalie is the one who won't fucking die. And who's protected by literally falling on Brenda's prone body. I just was really tickled by that.
Sure.
Yeah. So what do you think?
Yeah, I think it's good. It's a lot better than the original movie.
Oh, thank you so much. I mean, you know, that could be faint praise depending on.
Oh, yeah. You know? No, sure. Yeah. Yeah. The original movie's so shallow, obviously, but there's no meaning. There's nothing to be. There's no takeaway. It doesn't thrill. It's not tragic. I mean, there's just no dimension to it whatsoever. So the fact that there's any kind of commentary in there is obviously a big change for sure.
Well, and like it, you know, maybe it's still shallow commentary on class, but if nothing else, it's commentary on like selfishness.
Sure. Well, you're in the ivory
you know,
tower, right? You know,
yeah.
It makes sense. It feels like an appropriate. I mean, it doesn't have. I wouldn't go so far as to call it shallow, but it's not particularly depthful either. It's still a teen slasher movie.
Yeah, but. And like I feel like still not totally satisfied with this take. Like I feel like I could go back and refine it a lot more had I the time and the inclination. But I wanted to do something to kind of unify like Wexler's survival, the massacre just as a sort of school legend, the dean's impetus to kind of paper over the deaths at the school, and just like why all these characters deserve to die in the first place. You know, whether you're convinced by Brenda's explanation or rationale or not is one thing, but I do think like I wanted to make Natalie much more of at least a complicated figure, if not a right out villain. But yeah, I had this one was kind of agonizing to work on because like every time I would make a change, I would have to make 10 other changes. Yeah.
I mean, anything where it comes, that happens a lot with this kind of movie where there's a killer. You have to think about where they are and what they're doing.
Yes.
And, who knows what and when and where the bodies are. These kinds of things can be a bit much to track.
And it's like the movie is stupid, but it's intricate, you know?
Yeah.
Like it's like a big tangled knot.
I mean, it's not like very intricate, but it's enough to where
just in terms of logistics.
Yeah, there are moving pieces and logistics you have to track in something like this. So that's an asshole. Yeah, when you're trying to revise something like that. Yeah, but yeah, it's obviously a huge improvement over the original movie.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Shall I give my version?
I would love that.
You would like that?
I'd love nothing more.
Okay. I think it'd be interesting. I think probably we've tried to solve some of the same problems. Though, interestingly, I will go ahead and say that mine, I think, actually hews closer to the original movie than yours does, despite the fact that I disliked this movie, I think, perhaps a little more than you did.
Oh, you definitely, that much is clear to me.
Anyway, so let's get into it. So, again, my movie starts in a fashion fairly similar to yours. I'm not changing much about that scene. I think that was probably the highlight of the movie for me, that scene. Except for one major difference, which is so Michelle gets her head lopped off in the back from the car, right? So we start there. Her head goes flying out through the smashed driver's side window. As the car stumbles along. Sorry, I found a typo right in my autocorrect typo. First thing I say about the revision. How foolish. As the car stumbles along, eventually hitting the guardrail and stopping. The gas station attendant apparently was chasing and eventually catches up, picks up the severed head, and screams, "No!" So we give him another moment.
Oh, and Brad Dourif can cry on command.
Yeah, so sure. Well, yeah, I think it's raining in that scene, so the crying part won't be so
You
visible,
would still know. He's so good, you would know.
Right. So yeah, give him a little more. Give him a little moment there. Another one at least. So again, it follows through in much the same fashion. One very minor change, which is that when they go to the Stanley Hall and they do the Bloody Mary game in there. So coming from the hall, somebody's going ooh, which you're sort of made to think afterwards that it was Damon, but it's coming. Like Damon shows up behind them. And the sound is the sound of a girl screaming in front of them. So that whole thing is, why is this happening? It's enough to just have Damon, they say, Bloody Mary, Bloody Mary. And then he's like, ha, right behind them. And that's your startle moment. You don't need, it sort of muddies the water. She's like, okay, what's going on in the Stanley Hall? Like, are you expecting that to matter? Mm-hmm. Like, it's poorly staged. Like, it basically. So
it's a stupid movie.
Yeah. So we're cutting that, but otherwise that's the same. So the cry from the hall. We continue on. So we actually go a pretty good ways until there is a change. So everything remains the same until Damon excuses himself from the car after his failed attempt to sleep with Natalie. So we begin. After an extended duration and some strange noises coming from outside of the car, Natalie steps outside briefly to investigate, only to see a strange figure wearing a fencing mask who appears to have a hook for a hand approaching her. Natalie runs back to the car and locks the doors, struggling to but eventually succeeding in starting the car while the would-be killer climbs atop the car's roof, searching for a way in. Natalie, in her panic, drives the car into a tree, which flings the killer from the roof. After a moment, she gets out, but the killer has disappeared, leaving behind only a single trace, a hook embedded in the roof of the car. So, here, we don't see Damon die. Damon just disappears. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So, that's the kind of the horror moment there is that she's out there and she's alone. Linger with that for a while. She's like, what the fuck happened to Damon? All of a sudden you're alone in the woods, right? There's a horror moment to be had. There's a slight one. Also, the fencing mask. I borrowed that from Urban Legend 2. The movie that I apparently saw briefly.
Your favorite movie.
Right, my favorite movie, Urban Legend 2. But a fencing mask, that's what the killer wears. But if you have a slasher movie, you do want to have your killer cut a distinct silhouette. I don't like the coats. I think it looks lame as shit. So the fencing mask, I don't love that, but it does fit the New England Ivy League school setting. It's a distinct and spooky enough thing in the right context, right? So we keep that. So Natalie arrives at the security guard's station sometime later and interrupts security guard Reese from watching her movies to her apparent irritation. The duo return to the scene of the crime, but Damon is nowhere to be seen. After seeing a discarded beer can, Reese jumps to the conclusion that some kind of prank has taken place, and is especially incredulous when seeing the hook in the roof of the car. Reese dismisses Natalie's claim that the person who killed Michelle must have also killed Damon, stating that the gas station attendant, who was covered in blood, has been arrested for Michelle's murder. So, a few things there. Reese, I don't like her role in this movie. Present in the original version. So I want her to be like most private security guards have ever known, which is irritable and lazy. I don't like her having the big heroic moment at the end of the movie. Like I just don't like her. I'm not into that. So I like her. I like most of those types that I've known, with exceptions, of course. But most of those types, they like to sit down, like prop their feet up. So that's Reese to me. She's not interested in doing this at all. So furthermore, the car is here. Car's not missing. So that's an important change. We do actually have the car. The hook in the roof. Also, we have that. We're doing the hook legend rather than whatever the name of the urban legend is, the hanging man. Yeah, whatever
the
that
hook
is.
Feels so much more iconic to me.
Yeah.
I wonder if they didn't do the hook because of I Know What You Did Last Summer.
Maybe.
Anyway.
Well, they seem to be happy to rip off Scream, so why not do that? Furthermore, the gas station attendant is covered in blood because he's picked up the severed head. So that actually does have a purpose. So he's covered in the blood, so they actually have a reason to arrest this man.
Beautiful.
Yeah. So we continue on for quite a while. I like everything with Tosh. I keep that as it is. I like that. Is evidenced by that being like the one thing I like about the movie. Tosh is nuts. Keep Tosh.
I know that I did regret having to lose that.
Her as a sex crazy.
But
maniac.
I did keep her as a total fucking bitch.
Yeah. That's a good thing. So, we keep it the same for quite a while, until we get to the moment where they break into Wexler's office. So I am cutting the part where Paul is fired from his job. I don't feel like we really need that. But I'm more concerned about cutting the I'm more concerned with Natalie's dark past. I don't think that I mean you made that more useful in your version. That's obviously a big part of the killer's motivation. It is in the original movie too, but it actually matters in your version. Here I didn't think it didn't make sense as a killer motivation, so it's gone. So Paul is regretful. Yeah, I think actually no, I did misspeak slightly. So I am keeping him losing his journalism job. But her past is not brought up. So Paul's just basically leaves that encounter not feeling betrayed. Like, oh, you lied to me about your weird charge or whatever. Like, that's not really, that's a weird reaction for him to have anyway. So he's regretful for having gotten mixed up with her. But that's how they leave. So, we continue on. After increasingly accumulating paranoia causes Natalie to smash a glass window to get the attention of Brenda, who she incorrectly thinks is under imminent threat, Natalie reveals to Brenda that she knew Michelle Mancini. She shares that they were best friends, but that their friendship ended over a boy, and that she always thought she'd have the chance to make amends to her, a chance she knows now she'll never have. We further on, we're cutting the urban legend stuff in there, that past that they share. Not relevant or useful. I don't like the headlights, the flashing, that stuff. I don't think it doesn't make sense. Somebody could do that to you for a long, long time, and you'd be like, I mean, who is this asshole doing that to me? But you're not just going to go. Nothing makes you yank the wheel and then drive off the road. That's not we're stretching credibility. We're going to do that in a few ways, I'm sure, even in this revision. We're going to have some contrivance for sure, but let's minimize those rather than maximize them, which is what the original movie is. So Brenda comforts the upset Natalie, then suggests that they both attend Parker's party that night to take their minds off recent events. Natalie reluctantly agrees to go. So otherwise that scene basically resolves in the same fashion. Later on, in the newspaper office, Paul is cleaning out his desk, only to find a newspaper which reported on the massacre at Stanley Hall planted by the group janitor. Cutting that. That sequence is gone. So we don't need the janitor sharing that information. So that evening, Dean Adams and no, we're not changing there. Aha! So soon after, Dean Adams is attacked in the parking garage. His Achilles tendon is slashed, and he tries to stand, unable to withstand the pain. While crawling away, his car runs him over, forcing a row of tire spikes to impale his body, killing him. What I want is for him to suffer, actually. Like, we need to elongate this death. Like, we need this man to be in pain. So, like, the deaths in this need to be crueler and more violent. We need some special effects. We need blood. We need to amp this up so that it matters when people die. You want your horror moments to have something to them, if it means special effects, gore, whatever it's going to be. But for this, let's just see an old man in pain. We can really linger here. Again, Scream, that amazing opening sequence, 13 minutes. Incredible. Anyway, so the party remains mostly the same up until the point right after Paul tells Parker that there's a killer on campus. Parker then tells the entire party that Paul says that there is a killer on campus, dismissively, but then says that Paul's reporting has made him unpopular and that he can't stand to see everyone gathered together to commemorate an event he claims never even happened. Paul retorts by saying that Parker has never been able to deal with the fact that he used to go with Sasha, prompting an ooh from the partygoers, after which Paul leaves, telling Natalie to stay at the party as he's going to go look for help elsewhere. Sasha disappointedly asks Parker why does he always have to act like a jerk, clearly more embarrassed by Parker's behavior than concerned about Paul's warning of a killer on campus or his mention of their past dalliance. She leaves the party to head to the radio station. So these characters, again, they're very thin. And I'm not going to be passing any Bechdel tests here, probably. But again, this is for dumb babies, this movie. So that's okay. So I just at least give Parker doesn't like Paul.
Why?
We get that earlier on, but not is there really much reason given for that. So at least if Paul previously used to date Sasha, that there's tension between the two of them for that. Give them some reason give it for their conflict.
I mean, as the movie stands, you just have to assume that Parker doesn't like Paul because he's Jared Leto.
Right.
Which I totally get.
But it also gives Sasha something. Like,
yeah.
Sasha has a past or history. Give her something. I mean, this isn't depth, but it's at least a slight dimension. Mm-hmm. Like, at least she's lived beyond the hour and 40 minutes that this movie takes place in. That's what we're looking for here. Once Paul and Sasha leave, Parker gets a phone call from the killer telling him he's going to die that night. An amused Parker, seeing Damon's caller ID on his phone, insults the caller. But then the caller says that they have just dried off Parker's dog Hootie in the microwave. After opening the microwave and seeing his dead dog, he runs to the bathroom to vomit. The killer arrives and ties him to the toilet, and he struggles to avoid the killer, funneling Pop Rocks and Drano down his throat. Parker sputters and chokes, the Pop Rocks splattering burning chemicals all over his face and melting away his flesh, before finally splattering out of his stomach as his melting entrails spill all over the bathroom floor. So, two things. So, the fact that the call is coming from Damon's phone, at this point, we still don't know what's become of Damon. Like, that actually does matter here. Mm-hmm. So, that's now a relevant detail. Even if you don't get buy-in from the audience in this case that Damon is the killer, at least it's plausible. Mm-hmm. So we have that. Furthermore, so Parker is killed by Pop Rocks and Drano, right? So it's a variation on the urban legend that Pop Rocks and soda will kill you. Mm-hmm. So in the way it appears in the movie, the Pop Rocks are completely incidental to the death.
It's just a little grace note.
Yeah, it's like really just pours Drano down the throat.
The Pop Rocks didn't have anything to do with that.
They have nothing to do with it, right? So, so let's make the Pop Rocks matter. So what I want to see, this is the effect that I want to see in this sequence here. Most of the other things are severed heads, you got props, but this is the actual special effect. I want to see Paul rear back. Parker, excuse me. I want to see Parker rear back, and I want to see Pop Rocks popping out of his mouth in a violent, explosive manner, and I want to see Pop Rocks dotting all over his face and melting him. Mm-hmm. I want to see that cocktail of the violent reaction of Pop Rocks, the popping action, melting his face, in as a distinct, cool effect. That's what I want to see here. Have it matter. Have the Pop Rocks contribute to it. Mm-hmm. So at least, there's an interesting, if Pop Rocks mattered, right? They don't in the original one at all. It's just checking off the box. I also want to see his guts melt out of his stomach. Drano doesn't work that quickly, but let's have something horrible happen to somebody, especially this guy because he sucks.
Now that's a contrivance I can get behind.
Right. Now, I mean, drinking Drano will kill you.
Yes, yes.
That part is, it just doesn't kill you that quickly.
Listener, don't drink Drano.
Don't do that.
Please don't do that.
So, again, violence. I'm trying to increase the horror element of this, the gore element. That's what I want to be ramping up here. So, the death with Sasha that follows up after this. Again, keeping that largely the same. I am adding one thing to it. So Sasha, she jumps off of a stairway and lands on a lower level of this. It's kind of like an open stairwell, right? So she lands and hurts herself, like maybe breaks her ankle or something. But you think maybe she gets away as you're watching it. Like, you're kind of rooting for her, like, oh, she's got a chance to get away because she makes this death-defying maneuver and puts some distance between her and the killer, but at the cost of breaking her ankle or hurting her leg or something. Here she gets, in my version, compound fracture. So we have a bone popping out of her body, leaving a trail of blood. So she can't get away because she can be followed. So we're adding that detail in. Can make it more violent, make her suffering more on display here. Finally, she is killed in much the same fashion. The difference being that the killer picks up her severed head and waves below to Natalie in the same fashion, while also holding up the severed head with the other hand. So that is where we're going with that. So we carry on. Everything plays out the same with Brenda and Sasha, Paul. They make out, that whole thing. That maybe happened earlier, but I'm mentioning it because it does matter here. So when Paul stops at a gas station, Natalie and Brenda take a moment to talk. Natalie says that she's sorry for the moment that she saw with Paul, that she never intended for something like that to happen, but that she let it because no one else believed her about the events on campus. She adds that she's not going to make the same mistake she did with Michelle, and Brenda says that the difference is that both of them are going to survive long enough to deal with it. They then discover Damon's dead body in the car and bolt, thinking Paul to be the killer. So, we carry on. Natalie breaks into the hall, and on the second floor, she discovers the dead bodies of Parker and Dean Adams. In the final room, she discovers Brenda lying on a bed, presumably dead. As Natalie starts crying, a hooded, masked figure knocks her unconscious from behind. So here's where we really start making some changes. Because otherwise, most of my revisions here have been just taking out some plot holes and trying to streamline things. Here's where really a lot of the meat happens for me. Waking up, Natalie finds herself tied to a bed and gagged. The killer comes in and unmasks himself as Paul. Wexler's notion that urban legends never actually happen gave him an idea. So he decided to make them happen, and to build his career reporting on the first verified instances of the form made real. That he'll get much more than a student Pulitzer for that. The intrepid reporter understood from the moment he learned the truth about Wexler, who himself carried out the Stanley Hall massacre while masquerading as its sole survivor, that the institution would protect itself, that Adams and people like him would suppress information, and that the police would be kept at bay, that the machinery would run as it had in 1973. He built everything around that certainty, that he could report on the crimes and face no accountability for carrying them out. Wexler, standing in the room, looks on proudly and says that he has taught Paul somewhat more thoroughly than he intended. Natalie, horrified, calls the duo crazy. Wexler laughs at this, saying that he's helping to launch Paul's career, a professor's responsibility, and that Paul is helping his career at the same time, as no new urban legends have been made since the 70s. He's in a dying field, and that a serial killer acting out the collective fears of a society would inject some much-needed life into his own career, just at the cost of a few lives, he notes with an ironic tone. Paul begins to cut Natalie's stomach in the fashion of the kidney heist legend, but Reese rushes in, taking an axe to the stomach from Wexler, throwing her gun and dying instantly. All seems lost until a gunshot rings out. Brenda, who is not dead and has previously been seen wriggling free from her bonds, has shot Wexler in the neck, causing him to spray blood in the air violently before he falls over, dead. At gunpoint, she forces Paul to get away from Natalie, saying now she's glad that she's somehow the only person in the group who didn't make out with him. Brenda frees Natalie. However, Paul successfully disarms Brenda by slicing her with a hidden knife. Brenda and Paul struggle for the gun, but Brenda is shot in the struggle. Paul grabs the gun and points it, but Natalie seems absent, only for her to reappear suddenly, jumping from the corner with the killer's hook ripped from Damon's body, slashing at his arm and shoulder and tackling him out the window. Natalie checks on a seriously wounded Brenda and helps her to her feet, and they drive off to get help. Suddenly, Paul appears in the back seat and attacks her with the axe. Brenda is whacked in the head, knocking her unconscious, and in the struggle, Natalie crashes into the railing on a bridge, sending Paul flying through the windshield into the river below. Natalie and Brenda watch Paul's body float away and hug, safe from danger. Sometime later, the story is revealed to be a legend being told to another group of students elsewhere. They all disbelieve the tale, debunking it as a legend. One young man especially disputes the storyteller. The man is revealed to be Paul, who tells the others not to believe everything you hear. So, few things there.
Yay!
That we've changed. Yeah. I was thinking, actually, about apt pupil. Do you know apt pupil?
Oh, I haven't seen it, but I know.
I haven't seen it either, yeah. But I was like, oh, that could be interesting if the Stanley Hall Massacre, like if someone's the pupil of the,
yeah.
like if there's that element
gosh,
to
who is
it.
that?
It's Ian McKellen.
Ian McKellen and Ryan Phillippe?
No, it's Brad Renfro.
Renfro?
Renfro?
Oh, I thought it was
Brian Renfro. I've never seen it again. Renfro. That's a hard name to say. Anyway, so yeah, I had that in my mind. Like, okay, so we have the crazed pupil, right? I liked that as an idea. That would be the big expository moment there at the end of the movie.
It lets Robert Englund chew the fat as he's want to do.
I didn't like the notion, like I didn't want to center everything on Natalie, like her being particularly important. It's just that she got away the first time, really. So I was thinking of that, like in this version, like is she, like she could have died in that scene, and she just managed to thwart him, basically. I was thinking about the urban legend thing. There's a few elements that we both responded to, which is that they just don't make them anymore. Like the urban legends are stuck in the 70s. Like they're just sort of the point where you may have like modern ones that have come about on the internet. Creepypastas would be kind of a version of that. But
it's a transformation.
But that doesn't exist by the time this movie happens in the late 90s.
Right.
So urban legends being sort of a frozen thing was kind of interesting to me.
Yeah.
But this idea of Paul being the killer, I didn't invent that. The movie in the original version suggests that. Parker says like, oh, you did it because you want to report on it. And I said, yeah, that's more interesting to me than what the movie gives you. It's more interesting to me if he's the killer. That's an interesting motivation. So like, what can we build around that? I do like that Brenda, like the two best friends, actually get to save each other in the end.
It does pass the Bechdel test.
Aw. I'm not so sure about that. Again, these are for dumb kids. I don't care. Yeah, that's fine. This isn't my most feminist work, we'll say.
Well,
I can live with it.
You're not exactly working from the most brilliant material.
Look, I can live with it. That's fine. So Reese dying instantly as she walks in the room, that's a continuation of her being an administrative obstructionist. Like, she can't actually do anything useful. Right. Like, that's all she's there.
She just makes matters worse.
Yeah, like, that's all she's there is to inhibit others in what they mean to do. So her dying here, that's, I was thinking of Scatman Crothers in The Shining.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because he shows up like, oh, he's going to help everybody. Dead instantly. Yeah,
and you feel so bad.
Yeah, because you do like this character, unlike her.
Yeah.
But I do have that in my mind, in my imagination. I'm putting that out there. But I also don't like her having a second gun.
She
has a backup gun in the original version. Yeah. Screw that. That's dumb. I don't like that at all.
That reminds me. Speaking of Reese, I think the detail that Paul and Natalie both leave her like with a stomach wound and a gunshot wound is insane. I'm like, why would you do this? Why would no one stay with this poor woman?
Yeah.
Anyway, please continue.
I don't care. I don't care for that character at all. So yeah, otherwise, plays out in much the same fashion. But again, I had to figure out how to like a little bit of combat that they have there because there isn't a second gun and all that stuff. But otherwise, yeah, I'm pleased with it.
Yeah, no, it's great. It's great, and it really hews closely to the original. I mean, ironically, you kind of steal from Scream even more by having two killers or two sort of accomplices. It's not the same, but it is funny to think about.
Yeah,
though.
That's true.
Not that I don't think you are, stealing here, but I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, that is kind of true though.
But in for a penny, in for a pound.
Why not?
Right? Yeah, I really like the changes that you made. I think it makes sense to decenter Natalie. I mean, in that way, she's kind of like a pre-Halloween 2 Laurie Strode. It's not that she's necessarily special. It's just that she happened to get away. So that's a fun detail, and allows the audience to like Alicia Witt, which is our impulse to begin with.
Yeah.
And then let's Rebecca Gayheart have her sort of victory moment. So yeah, that's great. I would watch that. I think it's and honestly, I would watch that just to see Brad Dourif holding up a severed head and going, no! That's really wonderful. Yeah, interesting too. I feel like our minds were really chewing on the same problems in pretty similar ways. The fact that both of us kept that epilogue scene but changed the person telling the story. Mm-hmm. I think that's really funny.
Yeah.
And you obviously amped up the gore and the sort of the sensory qualities of the kills. I think I tried to amp up like the nastiness. Like my personal favorite moment is probably when the killer tucks Tosh's body in bed and like flips off the light, just like nighty night, because I love that nasty little wave in the recording booth. So I was like, oh, more moments like that.
Yeah, sure.
To me, the thing that makes Urban Legend scary is not necessarily just the violence, it's the sense of violation. Like someone's in your house, someone's under your bed, someone is licking your hand,
I thought about using that one.
I wanted to, but then I couldn't find a good way to incorporate it.
Yeah, I didn't have any ideas there.
But like just the sense that like something that you thought was safe has turned on you. But obviously you can access that kind of nastiness in different ways. So your gory kills are, chef's kiss.
Yeah, I mean that's the. I just wanted them to land harder, and it's just so tepid.
It feels so PG-13.
If that.
Yeah.
I mean, the sex is. I assume it's rated R. Because
but it feels like TV edit of a PG-13 movie.
Yeah.
It's really lukewarm.
Yeah.
And I watched it and enjoyed myself because it reminded me of kind of like a certain point in my movie watching life as a young person. But I don't know. I really like both of our edits of this one.
I like yours better.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I didn't think that I would like it. Like I felt weird about it right up until I read it, but now I'm like, it's all right.
Yeah.
It's all right.
Yeah. I think yours could benefit from the increase in violence in mine.
Sure. Why not? I'm open to it. Yeah.
I think if you were to borrow a couple elements from mine.
I think the it would be like a beautiful fusion restaurant of a revision if you just mixed ours together.
I do like Paul as the killer. I'm not that. Yeah. I'm just not crazy about Brenda.
Sure.
I'm not crazy about Brenda. Paul is the killer. I mean, Jared Leto. I mean, he's such a swell guy.
He wouldn't hurt a fly.
So great.
I think in mine, your best friend Morbius. In my head, Rebecca Gayhart's performance in her killer monologue, like in my revision, would be very cold and not nearly so like kooky crazy. Because it's not that I really even mind that kooky crazy shape for her, but I wanted her to have more of like a robust argument for why she was doing what she did. So I was imagining like the bubbly persona of Brenda just drops away.
Sure.
And it's very stark.
Can I tell you a fun Jared Leto fact?
Yes.
I don't know if it's Leto or Leto, now that I'm saying it.
I don't either.
Yeah, anyway, a fun Jared Leto fact. I've said both, so we'll go with Leto for now. This was kind of lost in the middle of everything that was happening in early COVID. But, he fancies himself a spiritual retreat leader or something.
Guru.
Yeah, something like that. Anyway, he went on some kind of a retreat. Like he sort of vanished for 3 months. On purpose, right? Not like somebody in UrbanLegend would go vanish for 3 months. I mean, like he went on some retreat, and so there's no contact with the outside world for that time or whatever. That was before COVID happened. And so he just reappeared into the world after COVID had happened. So he came back into the world. I was like, what? I just think that's really funny. Like just missing the gradual build up. Like, what is this? And
Jared.
Society, what? They're closing. They're canceling the NBA. Oh, the schools are closing. Oh, shit. And then like you sort of the ramp up that happened with COVID, which is a quick acceleration. But then all of a sudden, like the whole of the world has really changed. Imagine just like, I'm going to go in a retreat. Then you just come out like, all right, I'm ready to go to the store. And like, what?
It's like he Rip Van Winkled himself.
Yeah, it's kind of a Rip Van Winkle.
Oh my God, that's
it's
actually
you wake up
really
in COVID.
funny.
I know.
I mean, it would be horrifying to be in that situation. But from the outside, that's very funny.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my God. He's just 3 months behind the rest of the world.
Right, that's right.
Jared. Okay. Whoever said the stars were normal people like us?
I know. All right, folks. Which revision would you most like to see on screen? What movie would you like to see us cover next? Let us know at thedevilsworkshoppod@gmail.com.